Latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The A78 northbound Battersea off slip to the A759 is closed for maintenance. The A483 is closed between Ruabon and Holton due to a police incident. In Warwickshire, the M6 northbound between junctions 3 and 4 has 3 lanes closed after a collision. Slough drivers face 40-minute delays eastbound on the M4 between junctions 6 and 5. In Portsmouth, a collision on the A27 westbound is causing 2 lanes closed and 40-minute delays. On the M60 anti-clockwise in Salford, 1 lane is closed between junctions 16 and 15. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning, it's 9:30 on Wednesday, the 1st of July, live across the UK, Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
Well, another black hole, this time in defence. The Prime Minister leaves Andy Burnham with a £5 billion bill to fund his military plan. But the former Defence Secretary John Healey says it will leave Britain unsafe.
That more needs to be done in the months ahead, beyond the dip, to develop a clear, credible funding plan that will hit 3%.
Family claims curb. Another announcement from the Home Secretary wants to stop illegal migrants using family ties to dodge deportation.
Meanwhile, Shabana Mahmood bans migrants from being housed in new builds after a group were bound for £250,000 new build houses in Shropshire.
And these women want parity. Female Labour MPs have told Andy Burnham, the Prime Minister presumptive, he must have a 50-50 gender split in his government when he becomes PM.
Yes, as if Andy Burnham doesn't already have enough to worry about with a £5 billion hole in defence spending. Now, a group of women in the Labour Parliamentary Party says there has to be a 50-50 gender split in the Cabinet. Will Burnham be able to get the best people for the job?
Imagine if we could bring down the cost of energy for people and businesses and the good things that would come from that.
And an energy price cap rise. From today, household energy bills will shoot up. We'll tell you how you can keep them down.
And diversity over digits. The Treasury removes a maths test from its graduate scheme. Can you believe this? To boost inclusive hiring.
That where they have passion, we are polite, yet we are the lions that roar. That we are the ones who queue and queue, but what are we waiting for?
Sir Ian McKellen unveils a love letter to England ahead of their World Cup clash versus Congo tonight. England boss Thomas Tuchel is ready for the fight.
It's the moment to dig in, it's the moment to be patient and to do what we do on highest level.
Often, Miriam, we know budgets tend to unravel within a couple of days because people go what's called the Red Book, where all the detailed announcements are line by line by line. It didn't even take a day for the Defence Investment Plan to unravel. It had unravelled by the afternoon when the former Defence Secretary stood up in the Commons and said it's not enough. Yeah. And we now know there is a £5 billion black hole, which Andy Burnham will have to fill. And we also know that one way they've managed to increase defence spending is by cutting back on maintenance of military accommodation, which is shameful.
There are big holes in this plan, not just the amount of money that is short to fund it, but also, as you said, the fact that £5 billion will have to be found just this year. We understand that Andy Burnham signed off on the idea of the Defence Investment Plan, but wasn't told that there was already a shortfall for this financial year. How will he find that money, and is he going to set it out in the coming weeks?
I know, and Luke Pollard, the Minister doing the broadcast round this morning, has admitted to GB News they only saw the detail of the Defence Investment Plan. This is a Defence Minister 2 days ago, because the Treasury called
detail about how we're going to reach this 3% of GDP target, and indeed 3.5%, which seems a long way away.
As ever, tell us what you think. Send your views, post your comments by visiting
gbnews.com/your say. But first, here's your 60-second news update with Sam Francis.
Very good morning to you from the newsroom. The top story at 9:30. Household energy prices will rise by 13% today for millions of people in England, Scotland and in Wales. The price cap set by the regulator Ofgem is going up to reflect the higher wholesale costs that hit suppliers during the US and Israel's war with Iran. Andy Burnham, who's likely to become the next Prime Minister, is facing a funding gap of nearly £5 billion if he's to meet the government's new defence spending commitments. Sir Keir Starmer's announced that there would be an extra £15 billion for the armed forces over the next 4 years, but Treasury documents show only £10 billion has been found so far. The Home Secretary has banned asylum seekers from being housed in new-build homes after a backlash over plans for a Shropshire development. It comes after more than 80 asylum seekers were set to move into a new development in Stoke Heath, which locals said they were told would be affordable housing. The government says it's trying to fix the prison system that it claims was left just days from collapse. Ministers are launching a review into violence, drugs and organised crime behind bars as they try to make jails safer and better at cutting reoffending. Former Home Secretary Amber Rudd will lead that review. And ministers are hoping to save around £1 billion by 2030 through reforms to the Motability Scheme. The scheme helps disabled people get cars, but it came under scrutiny after reports that luxury brands, including BMWs and Mercedes, were available through it. Those are this morning's headlines. More news at 10.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Hello, good morning and welcome. You're watching and listening to Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
Well, the Prime Minister's left his successor a bit of a mess. It's called a £5 billion black hole in the defence spending for Andy Burnham to deal with.
Well, the brand new Makerfield MP, of course, not yet Prime Minister, he'll have to find the money in the next budget to fulfil the commitments in the Defence Investment Plan. But how on earth are they going to go about raising that money?
Well, I'll tell you, I was just checking. Last year, there was a major revolt in the Labour Party ranks over plans to cut the spending on personal independent payments, which reached £26 billion, a rise of £20 billion since the pandemic. These are to help people get back into work, or people who are in work who have mental health issues. It's to assist people into work. So all very noble, but rising at a completely unsustainable level. So the government proposed cutting that bill by £5 billion. The defence budget black hole is £5 billion. So but of course, Starmer blinked in the face of a revolt on his backbenches. They postponed the cuts in defence in PIP spending, that's where they could have found the money.
Yeah.
And I still maintain, Miriam, that his authority as Prime Minister and Labour leader disintegrated when he gave in, because Labour backbenchers thought we can push the Prime Minister around.
Yes, and of course at the time he made the extraordinary decision to take away the whip from the rebels like Rachel Maskell MP, who had opposed that cut, and yet the government then decided to take those policies on as their own, basically to give in, but then took the credit for it rather than rewarding the people who had led the rebellion. Very strange politics. But yeah, I think you're right, he lost his authority then. But when we're talking about these numbers, it's so frustrating to think that if we just went back to 2019 levels of welfare spending, that'd be additional £56 billion a year. And nobody thinks that in 2019 we had sort of austere Victorian welfare system.
I'm looking at these figures. The number of people on working age disability benefits jumped from 2.1 million in 2019-2020 to 4 million.
Yeah.
It's doubled.
Exactly, and almost all of the increase is due to mental health benefits. It's not that mental health isn't a real thing, it's just that in all other countries they don't treat physical disabilities and mental disabilities the same because they need different treatment, and being paid not to work is probably not the best thing if you've got depression and anxiety. Yeah, and it's terrible for the taxpayer.
And if you have got mental health issues and anxiety issues, get a job, go out, get a routine. It's proven to be good for you.
But instead, we're spending that money on benefits instead of the vital, vital work of defence, which I think most people agree needs more money.
Now, we're going to talk to the former senior military intelligence officer, Philip Ingram. Mr Ingram, good morning to you. John Healey, the Defence Secretary who resigned over this defence investment plan, reiterated his criticism in the Commons yesterday. You could barely hear a pin drop. Everybody wanted to know what he had to say. His successor, Dan Jarvis, effectively admitted it wasn't enough. Are we safe? Are we safe now? Can we defend ourselves?
No, we're not safe at the moment. You know, I've been at this game both in the military and then analysing it for the global threats for over 40 years, and I've never seen clear paths to global conflict until the last couple of years. We are on paths to global conflict, and we are not ready. This is our 1936, 1938 moment. Whenever we have got our politicians coming down waving pieces of paper saying peace in our time, yet the big the enemies are sitting there preparing to attack us and are currently attacking us on a daily basis. We are definitely not ready, and we could find the money easily.
Yeah, and when you talk about 38, of course, we're talking about the row over rearmament of Britain in the face of the growing Nazi threat. You're thinking of the growing threat here, presumably, from Putin's Russia, which we already subjects us to a number of cyber attacks and is currently locked in Europe's most serious war with Ukraine.
It's more than just cyber attacks. He has recruited criminals to burn down warehouses in London. We only have to go back a few years, and we had the use of polonium-210, a radiological agent, on the streets of London. We have had Novichok used in Salisbury. We have Russian ships over our critical national infrastructure, our cables at sea, on a weekly basis. We've got Russian overflights coming in. We've got espionage activity happening in London and other cities around the UK. Arley, I'm not even going to say daily or weekly, Arley, and that is all preparing to undermine this country even more. People don't recognise the threat that's out there, and there are political decisions that have been taken that are spending the money elsewhere. This government inherited a terrible defence capability after 14 years of the previous governments, but it's been going downhill since Tony Blair started taking it away. But the current government carried out a strategic defence review to tell them what they needed to fund it, said they were going to fund that, and now haven't done so.
Of course, it's a very complicated picture from a modern defence point of view. I think a lot of people, until Ukraine, thought that the future was all in high-tech cyber defence, whereas Ukraine's made very clear that actually conventional warfare is still very important. The kind of men and machines side of it absolutely needs investment. We also have in the UK, we're one of the few countries to have a nuclear deterrent. The Defence Investment Plan says that by 2030, nuclear deterrent will be taking a quarter of our budget. Do you think that the distribution between nuclear, conventional and high-tech is the right one, or do you think the emphasis is wrong in this plan?
I don't think the emphasis is wrong. I think the amount of money that's being allocated to our conventional capabilities is wrong. There should be more allocated to that. The Minister of Defence needs to learn how to spend the money it's got much better. And I've always been critical as to how the Minister of Defence spends it. But we have to remember that our nuclear deterrent has kept us safe for since the Americans used nuclear weapons in the Second World War, and since Russia, China, and other countries have developed their own nuclear capability. Putin is worried about our nuclear capability. But the difficulty we have is if we can't defend ourselves from a conventional perspective, our only option is then to threaten nuclear. And would we go nuclear over a conventional attack? Would we go nuclear over a conventional missile hitting London? We probably wouldn't. And our enemy is beginning to realise that, and they're getting bolder in the way that they're attacking us on a daily basis. We should be very, very worried, and we should be jumping up and down on the government to make sure that they properly fund defence. And this defence investment plan is not properly funding. It's not even a sensible start.
Can I press you on that point, Mr. Ingram, because you said we should be very worried. How worried are you as a former intelligence officer that we could face a full-scale war with Russia?
It's not just with Russia, it's Russia, China. It's a global conflict. I'm extremely worried. As I said, I've been at this game for over 40 years. I spent 26 years in the military. I've been examining and commentating on all matters defence and geopolitics since then. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago that I'd always say there's a potential for a global conflict, but there wasn't a clear path to it. I can now see several clear paths, and they could come very quickly indeed, and come faster than we can generate the weapons that we need to defend against it. The only way to stop it is to deter it, and the only way to deter it is to have a strong military capability, so no one wants to do that. And we deter as part of a collective organisation, and the collective organisation is NATO. We used to lead NATO. We're currently, in rearmament terms, 31 out of 32 nations. We're near the bottom of the pile now. We need to step up again.
Former Senior Military Intelligence Officer Philip Ingram, thank you so much for your time this morning.
We've got some breaking news.
The IOPC is investigating the conduct of 2 officers in the Henry Novak case. The Independent Office for Police conducts ongoing investigation into the action of Hampshire and Isle of Wight constabulary officers who dealt with Henry Novak prior to his death has entered a new phase.
So following the conclusion of the trial which saw Vikram Digwar convicted of 18-year-old Henry's murder, they say we've assessed the evidence we've obtained and considered representations from Henry's family as we reviewed all aspects of the investigation. We'll have more on this shortly.
Gosh, yes,
if you remember, of course, the police were dismissive of Henry repeatedly saying, I've been stabbed, I've been stabbed.
Yeah.
And he was handcuffed as he lay on the ground, effectively bleeding to death.
That's right.
And of course, his killer was not handcuffed.
Indeed. And of course, that shocking footage went, well, I was going to say across the country, but around the world.
Around the world. Well, it was condemned by Elon Musk and JD Vance, all sorts of people.
Well, we will have more on that as we get it. But still ahead on Britain's Newsroom, Shabana Mahmood bans migrants from being housed in new build homes after a group were bound for £250,000 new builds in Shropshire.
And up next, Labour women have told Andy Burnham half of his government, he means his ministers, should be women. Is this woke virtual signalling? Bear in mind the Labour Party has never elected a woman leader in its 126-year history.
But first, if you want to get away from it all and find some holiday sun, here's the forecast for our top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Mixed weather across southern Europe at the moment. Quite a few showers for Italy, some thunderstorms, breezy through central parts of the Mediterranean, as well as the Canary Islands and Madeira. But an emerging hot spell is expected through Portugal and for south and west Spain. Temperatures of 40 Celsius for Lisbon. Unusually hot for this location. Here are the showers for Italy, but they ease during Friday and into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
The completion of the challenge, the Princess of Wales was met by her family, including the Prince of Wales and her 3 children.
Lovely. All right, let's talk to former Royal Butler, Grant Harold. Grant, honestly, that little video there just seemed to say it all to me, because it was clearly all just off the cuff, not a prepared speech. She just came across as someone who really cares about what she does.
She does, and I mean, she's remarkable because, as you said, it was just suddenly announced last night that she'd done this. And not that I'm a huge expert in this, but it's quite a challenge. I actually know somebody that did it recently. I mean, I think you've got to walk about 23, 24 miles. You're climbing about up to, is it 9,000 feet? You're travelling over 500 miles. It's 3 highest peaks in the UK, Scotland, England, and Wales. I mean, it's a remarkable achievement.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
In his 23 years of service, Alan was deployed to a number of conflicts, including the Gulf War. He met his wife Tracy Ann when he returned to civilian life, and Alan is proud of his time in the forces.
The actual Gulf War, it was during the Scud missile sort of crisis, if you like, and I found that quite worrying because it was so random. If somebody points a rifle at you and intends to kill you, that's one thing. But these missiles were just fired into nowhere. One of the camps got hit. A lot of US servicemen got killed. And RAF regiment fellas went in to help. And the effects of war are clearly not nice. But if it was done for the right reasons, it had to be done.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
No, Cameron, so he's the first monarch ever to do this, then, isn't he? What's your take on what we've seen in the data here?
Well, Patrick, for GB News audiences, I spent 5 hours in financial briefings with all of these documents, so you don't have to go through them all, and we've assimilated them with my producer, Tom, this afternoon and evening for you. As you said, Patrick, at the start of your piece there, I think a lot of our audience are probably going to be wondering why £370 million, roughly, of their money is being spent on resurfacing a building, Buckingham Palace, which no monarch is unlikely to ever live in ever again. The money that the king surrenders the profits of from the Crown Estates to the Treasury in exchange for a percentage to fund the official duties, that percentage for almost a decade has been much higher.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. It's nearly 10 to 10. You're watching Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Female Labour MPs are piling the pressure on Burnham to commit to a 50-50 gender split within his ranks of government ministers, of which there are about 100 when he becomes Prime Minister in a couple of weeks' time.
Well, is this just even a lot of woke virtue signalling? I think some of the Labour Party don't know what a woman is, do they, Olivia Utley? Olivia joins us now. I mean, they have to say this, don't they? It's kind of part of their shtick as Labour MPs, but does it really matter?
Does it really matter? I mean, it doesn't look great, and it's a very easy battering ram for the Conservatives that the Labour Party has never had a female leader. The Conservatives have had 2 female Prime Ministers, 3 female Prime Ministers, if you count Liz Truss, and now Kemi Badenoch. Kemi Badenoch is leading the party. So Andy Burnham is in a bit of a tricky situation. Obviously, at the moment, there are plenty of senior women in the Cabinet, including Rachel Reeves as the Chancellor, and you've got 2 women having the Chief of Staff role as a joint job. That's something which Andy Burnham has already committed to James Purnell, a former sort of Blairite, widely considered a safe pair of hands. There will be a lot of pressure on Andy Burnham to have this 50-50 split. As you say, there are 100 ministers in the overall, and so it wouldn't necessarily have to be a 50-50 split within the Cabinet, although, again, it might not be a very good look to have a lot of very senior male Cabinet members and then a lot of junior women underneath them. That said, I mean, how much does it matter? And Andy Burnham is already going to have a really, really difficult time on his hands. He's got to sort of show every wing of the party politically that he's still on their side. He's considered a soft left he comes from the soft left of the party, so he will want some other people from the soft left of the party in with him. Angela Rayner, for example. I think a lot of those people are already thinking that they have got jobs. A lot of them could have run for the leadership themselves, but fell in behind Andy Burnham, so they'll feel like they are owed some sort of loyalty. Then you've got the Blairite wing of the party, who are kind of needed in there for balance and to show the markets that Andy Burnham isn't going to veer over to the left. Lots of talk about about perhaps a Blairite chancellor coming in. Then, of course, you've got the hard left of the party who always need to be thrown a little bone to stop them defecting over to the Greens and bringing all sorts of voters with them. So Andy Burnham's going to have a really tricky time balancing that cabinet, and that's before you bring the gender issue into play. It doesn't sound as though his chancellor is going to be a woman. There are lots of rumours over who it might be. Pat McFadden is one of them. Will he feel that he has to bring a woman in? Yvette Cooper would be an option. But this is just another really, really tricky. It's 4D chess, always trying to design a cabinet, and I think it's going to be particularly hard.
One cabinet that we know is absolutely first out the door is the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, and this shambles over the defence investment plan, her fault, because it's her numbers, has sealed her death warrant. Well, it was sealed anyway, in my view.
Well, it is a total mess. £15 billion that Keir Starmer has committed. 10 billion of that, very unclear where it's going to come from, just sort of vague promises of efficiencies made, non-essential road projects scrapped. 5 billion, no explanation at all, just it's all going to be looked at in the 2026 budget. And what makes this so much worse is that £15 billion isn't even enough. In 2035, we'll have to have 3.5% on defence spending. That would mean £25 billion a year. I agree with you, Andrew. I think that means Rachel Reeves is straight out of the door. I think Andy Burnham will also want to make his own stamp on government, and keeping the old Chancellor would make that pretty much impossible.
Yeah. I do think we'd rather move beyond all this. Is it a man? Is it?
Yeah, but don't forget, Labour is the party of equality.
Indeed, but it's all very performative for them because they count how many people are on, men and women are on the green benches, but behind the scenes, all their think tankers, all their thinkers are men, all of them.
And remember, Starmer brought back Harriet Harman as his advisor on women, a woman who can't define a woman.
What did you call her earlier, Andrew?
That's why her nickname is Harriet Harperson.
There you go. Very good.
I don't wish to be mischievous, but I'm
never.
just saying.
Well, we've got plenty more to come on Britain's Newsroom. It's 30 years to the day since the driving theory test was introduced, which means Andrew's never had to take one.
I have not.
We're going to make him do it. You'll want to see that. Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office. It's a fine start for many of us today. A lot of cloud around, the best of any brightness in the south, with the cloud turning thicker in the north later, leading to some persistent rain. Initially, we do have some showers through Wales, northern England, much of Scotland. These are mostly light and confined to the hills, but the cloud builds across Northern Ireland later, allowing for some rain to roll in. Ahead of that, some clear spells, some sunshine emerging through Wales, the south of England, and temperatures responding reasonably. We're into the low to mid-20s. Further north, high teens, low 20s. But it's going to turn breezy as the more persistent rain arrives into western Scotland and Northern Ireland through the evening. That rain eventually reaching parts of the north and east of Scotland, but it's light and patchy here. Shetland, dry until after dark. But here's the rain for the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland turning heavy and persistent as it moves in. Light and patchy rain for Northern England, mostly over hills, but clear spells for the southern half of the UK. So this remarkable contrast developing overnight with a lot of wet and breezy weather in the north of the country, clear skies further south. A mild night for sleeping for many of us, with the cloud and the breeze keeping temperatures high. And then by the end of the night, the cloud thickens across many parts of England and Wales to bring some dribs and drabs of rain in, mostly over western hills and coasts, first thing Thursday. Temperatures of 16 or 17 Celsius from dawn, and a lot of mist and murk in the south of the country before the cloud and the patchy showery rain clears through the morning. So brightening skies for England and Wales after a bit of a grey start. But further north, we've got a fresh breeze coming in from the west, bringing some showers into the north of Scotland, but actually plenty of fine weather, and temperatures responding well once again. 26 Celsius in the south, 20 further north.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News every week.
You're not only watching and listening to our programmes, you're becoming part of them too.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The A78 northbound Barassi off-slip to the A759 is closed for maintenance. Expect congestion on the A48M westbound between junctions 29 Castleton and 29A St Mellons. In Warwickshire, the M6 northbound has 3 of 4 lanes closed between junctions 3 and 4 due to a collision. In Slough, a crash on the M4 eastbound between junctions 6 and 5 leads to lane closures and delays. Portsmouth's A27 westbound is similarly congested. And on the trains, cross-country and Elizabeth line services face disruptions at Reading. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
It's a Great British Giveaway Golden Summer Celebration. Your chance to win 2 fantastic prizes. There's an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also get your hands on a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At the stroke of midnight, the news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
Day in, day out. Forget stuffy late night TV shows. We're giving you a front row ticket to the centre of the political universe.
Because breaking news doesn't wait for the morning.
And neither do we. Join us for one of the most controversial and volatile times of politics in human history.
A very big story.
Big story over here.
You won't get this anywhere else. The Late Show live at midnight, every night.
Only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock on Wednesday the 1st of July. We are live across the United Kingdom. This is Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
Well, it's a whacking hole in our defence spending. The Prime Minister's left Andy Burnham with a £5 billion bill to fund his military plan. The Defence Secretary John Healey, who quit over the report, says it's left Britain unsafe.
That more needs to be done in the months ahead, beyond the dip, to develop a clear, credible funding plan that will hit 3%.
Some breaking news this morning. 2 police officers who arrested 18-year-old Henry Novak before his death are being investigated for gross misconduct.
Family claims curb. Yet another announcement from the Home Secretary, who says she will stop illegal migrants using family ties to dodge deportation.
Also, Shabana Mahmood bans migrants from being housed in new builds after a group were bound for £250,000 new build homes in Shropshire.
And women want parity. Women MPs have told Andy Burnham he must have a 50-50 gender split in his government when he becomes Prime Minister.
Imagine if we could bring down the cost of energy for people and businesses and the good things that would come from that.
Elsewhere, there's an energy price cap rise. From today, household energy bills will shoot up. We'll be telling you how you can keep them down.
And diversity takes place over digits. The Treasury removes the maths test from its graduate scheme to boost the number of inclusive hirings.
That where they have passion, we are polite. Yet we are the lions that roar. That we are the ones who queue and queue. But what are we waiting for?
Ian McKellen unveils a love letter to England ahead of their World Cup clash versus Congo tonight. England boss Thomas Tuchel is ready for the fight.
It's the moment to dig in, it's the moment to be patient and to do what we do on highest level.
I just said to Miriam, who's the bloke next to Thomas Tuchel, the manager? She didn't know, nor did I.
No idea. The one thing I do, John Pickford, apparently,
we're being told he's
the goalkeeper.
The goalkeeper.
He's the guy with the big gloves.
Yeah.
He's quite tall as well, I think. The one thing I am glad about is that the match starts at 5 p.m, which is much better for 12-year-olds in my household than 10 p.m. last time. That was quite a stretch, midnight bedtime.
Exactly. Are you going to watch it?
I probably will watch bits of it, yes.
I'm busy, but I'm going to watch it when we get through to the next round. Somebody's just said to me, who's my favourite football player? I don't know any of them. Harry Kane. There we are.
He is a footballer. Well done.
And he's the captain, I think.
Yes, and I think he's now holds the record for the most number of goals scored for England in a World Cup. That's a good pick, Andrew. Very good.
There we are. Don't ask me the names of any more of the players, though.
Jordan Pickford, 2 out of 11. Nearly 20%.
Now, as ever, tell us what you think. Send your views, post your comments by visiting
gbnews.com/your say. But first, here's the news with Sam Francis.
Very good morning to you. Just after 10 o'clock, the top story this hour, Andy Burnham is set to face a defence funding gap of nearly £5 billion. That's if he becomes Prime Minister next month. Sir Keir Starmer has promised an extra £15 billion for the armed forces over the next 4 years. He says that money will come from cutting investment budgets in other areas. With the blueprint including billions more for next-generation stealth jets, the largest ever investment in drone warfare, and confirmation that Britain will buy 5 F-35 jets capable of carrying nuclear bombs. But Treasury documents show that the government has only identified around 2/3 of the money so far, leaving a £4.7 billion bill to deliver that defence investment plan. 2 Hampshire police officers are under investigation for potential gross misconduct over the arrest and handcuffing of stabbed student Henry Novak. The Independent Office for Police Conduct says the officers were first to arrive at the scene late on the 3rd of December 2025. The watchdog says that they may have failed to recognise Henry needed urgent medical care after he said he had been stabbed and could not breathe. It's also examining the decision to arrest and handcuff him rather than provide immediate first aid. One officer is also being investigated over whether they appeared to dismiss Henry when he said he had been stabbed. Millions of households in England, Scotland and in Wales will pay more for energy from today as Ofgem, the regulator, raises the price gap by 13%. The average gas and electricity bill now rises to £1,862 a year. The regulator says suppliers faced higher wholesale costs during the US and Israel's war with Iran. The cap limits what suppliers can charge per unit of energy, but it does not put a hard limit on a household's total bill. Meanwhile, energy debt has also hit a record high, with households owing suppliers £4.7 billion in the 3 months to March of this year. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood has banned asylum seekers from being housed in new-build homes after a backlash over plans for a Shropshire development. It comes after more than 80 asylum seekers were set to move into 20 new-build homes in the small village of Stoke Heath. The reports of homes were that they were worth around £250,000 each. Locals say they were told the development would be used for affordable housing. The Home Office has said that the Home Secretary's now introduced robust processes to make sure that new build sites like Stoke Heath can never be considered again. And the government says it's trying to fix the prison system that it claims was left just days from collapse when it came to power. Ministers are launching a review into violence, drugs and organised crime behind bars as they try to make jails safer and better at cutting reoffending. Former Home Secretary Amber Rudd will lead that review. The government says recent figures show that early signs of progress are in place, with staff assaults, self-harm and self-inflicted deaths all falling. But ministers say they now want to root out the criminal networks and illicit drugs that continue to drive violence inside prisons. And the scheme which helps disabled people get cars is changing after a row over luxury vehicles being made available. Motability came under scrutiny last year when BMWs and Mercedes were reportedly available through that scheme. Rachel Reeves removed the vehicles at the budget, and further reforms announced in the autumn are now coming into force. Ministers say they hope to save around £1 billion by 2030 through reforms to the Motability scheme. Those are the latest headlines for now. Now it's back to Andrew and Miriam.
Hello, good morning and welcome. You're watching and listening to Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
Well, the Home Secretary can't keep out of the news, can she, these days? Every day it's an initiative or two, but she says she's banned migrants from being housed in new properties. I'm saying, has she the power to do that? Because isn't it the local council who decide where they go?
Well, yes, they have the responsibility for housing, don't they? Well, of course, this comes as it was revealed that 83 asylum seekers will soon be moved into newly built smart homes in the small Shropshire village of Stoke Heath.
That comes as we reach the halfway point in the year with small boat crossings falling by 13% compared to the previous 12 months. However, now with the good weather of the last few weeks, the numbers have shot up again. I think we've had 3,000 in 3 weeks.
It does seem to be more dependent on the weather than anything else. Well, let's speak to the Research Director at the Centre for Migration Control, Rob Bates. Rob, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us on Britain's Newsroom. Let's start with this story about new builds first. We understand that Shabana Mahmood, of course, has stopped this plan. But nevertheless, it's indicative of the trouble that local authorities are in, that they're having to try to house asylum seekers in new build homes, houses that have essentially been built to try and relieve our housing crisis.
That's absolutely right. Such is the scale of the crisis afflicting the asylum system that the Home Office and its partners at local authority level are increasingly having to go to more and more desperate means to actually get their hands on the requisite accommodation. And this has been a long-running problem with the asylum system. It's actually one of the reasons why the use of hotels exploded in the first place, is because the Home Office really struggles to get its hands on a suitable number of premises around the country. And as you've got the government now looking to sound tough on closing down the hotels, but at the same time putting out calls for landlords and for its contractors to actually bring more HMOs and premises such as these into the Home Office's estate, then I can see it very, very likely in the future that we will see similar type situations emerging yet again. And this is all because the government of successive governments have taken the decision to not go down the route of investing in Britain's detention facilities and have instead rested the whole premise on accommodation in the community. And I think it's now time that we pivot back towards what should have been done at the very start, which is to start investing in detention facilities.
And I suppose because when they've tried before, there's been local opposition. But I suspect there's going to be even bigger local opposition, Rob, to... look, I'm not being disrespectful to illegal migrants, but A, they shouldn't be here, and B, if you have bought a lovely new home in a nice village in Shropshire, the last thing you want to find out is some illegal migrants who've been shoved next door. Because you don't know where they're from, who they are, whether they've got terrible, dark motives in their hearts.
There's absolutely no way, Andrew, for us to actually determine what these individuals' backgrounds are. Right. With all the best will in the world, all the access to all the necessary databases, we still cannot determine that these individuals are not having had criminality in their background. And I think that's the main reason why people are so concerned about the small boats crisis now. It's not just because of abstract notions of the costs or the fact that they're being put in hotels. It is the simple fact that we are now having in every community, effectively, from the upper bits of Scotland all the way down to the south coast, individuals scattered in our communities about whom we know very little, if anything, at all. And I think the Home Office has taken almost public consent for this asylum system for granted. It's sort of assumed that we're just going to suck it up and take it. I think this is fast reaching a point now where, as the numbers continue to grow within the country, yes, the numbers crossing have fallen, but of course we already have over 200,000 having made the crossing, and very few of them are being deported. I think public consent and willingness to go along with this facade for much longer is really at breaking point.
Rob, can we just briefly ask you about the other reforms that Shabana Mahmood is intending to publish tomorrow, which particularly in relation to Article 8 of the ECHR, trying to limit the interpretations by which those being threatened with deportation can claim that they have a right to a family life, so that you'd have to, an asylum seeker would have to be living with a spouse or partner or a child in order to claim that they're their family. Do you think this will work? Will it reduce the number of people being allowed to stay?
I'm very sceptical of that. I think actually, as well, there's a caveat of exceptional circumstances, which I think, knowing how canny left-wing human rights lawyers are, they'll be able to present any circumstance as being an exceptional circumstance, and therefore, without actually leaving the ECHR, and I know it's sort of something that's said a lot, without leaving the ECHR, it's very hard to reinterpret how you implement any article of the ECHR. And I think actually this again is what we're seeing a lot from the government, which is very tough talk on what they're planning to do or what they intend to do. But actually, when you look at the substance and how they're going to about implementing it, it will leave a lot to be desired. And when you consider actually that those that have stayed in the country just last year on Article 8, the right to family life grounds, are going to cost us over the course of their lifetime £5 billion, you realise that actually this is a huge fiscal crisis, let alone the sort of the erosion of border sovereignty and the social tensions as well. And I just think this Labour government have tied themselves into so many knots when it comes to respecting human rights law. Lord Herm has been incredibly vocal on the need to adhere to its every dot and comma. I don't think they've got much room for manoeuvre aside from gimmicks such as this.
And I don't think we can ever underestimate, Rob, the damage to social cohesion, the unease, the unrest it causes with local people when they find their towns and communities appear to be visibly changing in front of their very eyes, with people dressing differently, speaking differently, different restaurants arriving, and many of them were being told now by the Home Secretary, well, they'll have to pay £10,000 towards their board and lodge while they're here, but a lot of them won't work, and a lot of them will say, I can't afford to pay it.
Yeah, most of them won't work. Even after sort of 10 years, less than half of asylum seekers that have been granted status are in work, and most of them are earning less than £20,000 a year. But you're absolutely right on the concerns that the public are feeling about the change in their community. And I think what makes it even more acute is that it's change that's being inflicted upon them by their own government. And I think actually the bigger problem there that stems from that isn't just the social decay and erosion that we are seeing, but it's also this just sheer rupture on trusts in the institutions that people in this country now have. Because I think there is now a narrative that has grown during the course of the small boats crisis that the government is on everyone's side apart from the British public's. And I really don't know how you go about repairing that if you are just having a Home Office that is continuing to put in place tinkering measures and flat out refusing in many instances to even listen to people's concerns about how much their community has changed in recent years.
Rob Bates, thank you so much, as always, for joining us on Britain's Newsroom. Thank you for your thoughts this morning.
He's always a voice of common sense, isn't he?
Absolutely, and with the knowledge to back it up.
Yeah, and now we've got a statement from the Home Office, which Miriam is gagging to read.
A Home Office spokesperson said new homes should never house asylum seekers. Earlier this year, the Home Secretary introduced robust processes to ensure new build sites like Stoke Heath can never be considered again.
Much use that is. Now, the Court of Appeal is set to review the sentences of the two 15-year-old rapists who've been spared jail. You'll recall the pair, alongside a third boy who encouraged the offence, received non-custodial sentences for 10 rape convictions against two young girls. Let's speak to GB News national reporter Will Godley, who's got the latest.
Well, Andrew, Miriam, good morning to you from the Court of Appeal. Yeah, it was a sentence that made headlines around the country, and here in the Court of Appeal today, 3 judges will begin reviewing it, of course, after 3 teenage boys perhaps received an unduly lenient sentence. That's been what's been referred to the High Court as by the Attorney General, of course, after 2 teenage girls were raped in Fordingbridge. And one of those girls has spoken out today ahead of this hearing. She's given a statement to the media under a fake name of Jasmine, in which she has emotionally described the impact of the attack on her. Let me just read a little bit to you now of what she has said, because she has said, I feel like I'm carrying what happened with me every day. I wake up with it, I go to school with it, I try to sit exams with it, and I go to sleep with it. It is always there. I cannot just switch it off. I cannot just move on. She said the trial was horrific. It was not just difficult, it was traumatising. The girl, who's 15, went on to say she felt accused of lying during the 5-week trial and has said that she felt the line of questioning accused her of implying that she had consented. She said that she felt humiliated, and I go on, she said, I tried so hard to do my best whilst talking about something which has left me with such lasting pain. That broke something inside me. What happened to me has left me so harmed so severely that I do not think I will ever be the same. Well, those two teenage boys, now 15, went on to rape a second girl in January 2025, encouraged by a third boy. Now, all three of those teenagers were convicted of multiple rape and indecent images offences, but of course avoided prison. The judge gave them a youth rehabilitation order, saying he wanted to avoid criminalising these children unnecessarily, and added that custody was a last resort. But the Attorney General, Lord Hermer, referred their sentences here to the Court of Appeal for being unduly lenient. Well, 3 judges will begin hearing that case today. It's due to last 2 days, and they will decide whether their sentences need to be revised.
Will Godley, thank you very much for that report. We do have some more breaking news for you now. The family of the 3-year-old boy injured in a crocodile pit have thanked the zoo staff who rescued him and those who are caring for him in hospital, as they said their attention remains focused on his recovery, in a statement released through Cambridgeshire Police.
Now, moving on, well, let's wish that little boy and his family all the very best, of course. Moving on, it's time for our Great British Giveaway, and it's your chance to join in our golden celebration. You can win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar. Miriam's bit it to check it's solid, worth over £5,000. That's gold you can keep or give to somebody you like to secure their financial future. Who would you give that to, Miriam?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know what you'd do with a lump of gold.
Not looking at me. Did you notice she's not looking at me?
Used to keep the door open or something. Give it to you, Andrew, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Pay for all the biscuits.
I think you're supposed to say your husband.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Not sure what he'd do with that either. Anyway, let's get on with it. Here's how you can make it happen.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific 2-part Great British Giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our golden summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up next, Sir Keir Starmer has left the incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, with a £5 billion bill to fund his defence investment plan. Where on earth is that money going to come from?
That's going to be just one of many problems Andy Burnham's going to be inheriting, is why I think the bounce won't bounce for very long. We'll be going through that and more with our panellists, Stephen Pound and Mike Parry. There they are, and Stephen has baked a very nice welcome back cake for Mike, because as you will probably recall, he's been treated for skin cancer. Ooh. That's a big cake stick, Stephen.
I think we'll get some.
And do you think we'll get some? Hopefully. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Allow.
Stop.
We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back. It's 24 minutes past 10. You're watching and listening to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
And the panel are reunited, Stephen Pound and Mike Parry. I think you must have missed him last week, Pound.
Oh, it was painful. Yeah.
You've not only is Mike Parry back, having had his gruelling cancer treatment, you bought him a cake.
Well, I can't believe
Very
it.
generous.
I am absolutely humbled. Welcome back, Mike, it says on that cake. Stephen, I can't thank you enough. Thank you very much indeed. It's a lovely gesture.
Listen, Mike, you're actually an example to so many people. There's so many people I know have said that they've actually learnt from your experience, the particularly early identification of cancer. You know, you've actually, probably for the first time in your life, done some real good for the nation.
I hope so.
Back to normal.
I don't want to dwell on it, but
the love and warmth lasted about 30 seconds.
Exactly, and then the boot went in again. But look, I just want to say, the lady who wrote it was called Lucy Elkins. She's a medical feature writer on the Daily Mail. And can I tell you, she didn't make it about me. She made it about a new medical phenomenon she discovered by talking to the top oncologists and dermatologists in this country, and that is that if you have scars on your face, they are a potential source of cancer, they've discovered, because, you know, the scar is naturally dead skin, so it doesn't have the ability to fight back against the sun's rays, and therefore, and she's explained it all in this piece, I had a 53-year-old wound on my face. It's opened up last October. 53 years ago, right? It's a scar. I thought my skin was getting thinner. I went to a hospital, asked the doctor to put a couple of stitches in it. The doctor referred me to a dermatologist who said, that's cancer. It happens a lot on scars. And that's what Lucy wrote about. And it's a great warning to everybody. Please, please be careful in the sun. If you've got scars on your face, you must be particularly careful. Wear a wide brim hat. put the oil on them, because you'll be helping yourself.
Factor 50.
Factor 50, yeah, absolutely.
And the prognosis, Mike, for your treatment?
Yes.
All good?
Very good indeed. I had very intense radiology last week. Everything that they can witness during the course of the radiology has gone well. And in about 6 weeks, I will get a verdict on how successful it's been. I've got more work to be done on my nose. That's a different situation altogether. But all I can say is the Royal Marsden Hospital I was treated is a magnificent institution. Thank you to everybody who was there, who helped me out. And truly, I've been blessed with the treatment I've had.
I think we should also be aware that Mike is actually radioactive.
Yes, that's right. I'm not only... Stephen's absolutely right. I'm not only a middle-aged baby magnet.
No, I didn't say that. I said you're...
No, excuse me. I'm a nuclear-powered baby magnet, because the radiation stays with you for 2 weeks.
There we
are. So, anybody who comes near, I'm nuclear-powered.
Does that make you even more attractive to the opposite sex?
Well, I mean, it doesn't take that to make me more attractive to the opposite sex, but yes, I would say it probably
Power
does.
of self-identification.
Yes.
Shall we move on?
Is the word.
Shall we move on to politics? He's not even the Prime Minister yet. And yet, of course, we're assuming that Andy Burnham is about to have the keys to number 10. He's got a number of problems coming his way, not least how to find £5 billion extra for defence just this year.
Yeah, well, it's a massive problem, but on the other hand, it actually feeds into one of the single most important things that he's going to have to do, which is the welfare budget, the ballooning, ever-expanding welfare budget.
Didn't mention it in that speech this week.
He didn't mention anything.
Hang on a second. The speech, it wasn't a menu of this speech. He can't start talking about policy when he hasn't even appointed the minister.
He talked about
he talked about very, very much in the round, in the broad brush. What he could not do is make any commitments when otherwise the person...
But Stephen, he could have... Andrew's right, he could have raised the problems. He didn't mention defence. He didn't mention... I was about to say immigration. And those are the two things people in this country are worried sick about.
Well, there's a number of things. He actually talked about empowering the local communities in a way that... Do you remember Rishi Sunak, one of his first speeches, when he moved the Treasury up to Darlington? Boris Johnson's one of his first speeches when he said levelling up is the important thing. So it's on a continuum of that. But look, the point being, you cannot actually produce a menu when you haven't even given the cooks the job yet. So he cannot do that until he's Prime. It would be presumptuous if he said, look, I'm not the Prime Minister, but here's what I'm going to do if I was. We all know that unless someone from the outer fringes of the party, and there's a few on those...
Are you thinking of running then, Steve? You talk about outer fringes.
I'm not sure anybody would stand down to give me a seat in Parliament.
No.
B, I'm not sure I'd win it. And C, to be fair, I wouldn't want it.
Yeah. But it did illustrate, didn't it, the complete unpreparedness of the new Prime Minister's office. He had nothing to offer because they haven't thought anything through yet.
Of course they haven't.
No, they haven't.
They've got reams of stuff.
I think he wanted longer. I think he would have preferred to have been
September.
September.
I totally agree.
He had all summer to work up his plan.
And OK, he is an experienced politician. He's been an MP before. He's not a novice. But on the other hand, the workings of the House of Commons are quite sophisticated. It takes a lot of getting used to. He's been out of there for 16 years and he's going straight back to the front bench. He's got to relearn how to talk through the speaker, how to speak from the dispatch box. He's an intelligent guy, but that is no mean feat.
I mean, you're absolutely right. And also, remember, he's been praised for getting the buses right in Manchester.
Yeah, great.
Right. Manchester takes up about 4% of the GDP of this country. The South East takes up 30% alone.
And it's a geographically distinct problem.
It produces. Doesn't take it.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It contributes more than a third to the whole of the British economy. Manchester's 4%. This idea of moving number 10, I mean, Manchester's not exactly Mar-a-Lago, isn't it? You know what I mean? And you put everybody on the train and get them up there. I think that's sensical.
Miriam and I, who've actually been on those green benches, we actually know exactly what we're talking about here. But look, when Andy Burnham came in 2001, I was in the House, I'd been in for a while, and he'd been there for 2 days, and he got an adjournment debate on which is, something which he does when the normal business finishes, on mining in Lancashire. And there was about 60 or 70 MPs there. Normally, an adjournment debate can be 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, nobody turns up.
You're lucky to get 3 or 4 people, and this is Penny Mordaunt doing one of her famous ones. However, this guy, he'd been an MP for 2 days, and he absolutely held the House in the palm of his hand. He's a natural communicator, in the same way that people like Reagan could actually read the room, and you almost forgot what they were saying because they were so good at saying it. So I don't think he's going to have a problem with that. He's not been on the other side of the universe. He's just been...
No, but the things that the Prime Minister becomes accustomed to, like having a handle on facts and figures for every single department, just a few that you can trot out in answer to questions. He won't have that. He's not been immersed in that.
Exactly. And also, people abroad have to know that the seat of power in this country is in number 10 Downing Street.
Yeah.
That's where it all happens. That's where the brain of the government is. Not some bloke jumping on a train and going up to a terraced house in Manchester. I mean, it's ridiculous. The reason the EU doesn't work is because they keep moving from Strasbourg to Brussels and back again.
And that was supposed to be stopped decades ago.
Yeah.
Interesting. If you go to Manchester Piccadilly Station, come out, turn right, the first street you come to is actually called Downing Street.
Oh, is it really? I didn't know that.
If you what do you think? Do you really think his plan to have the number 10 operation in the north at least 2 days a week, at least 2... Do you give that? How long would you give that?
Well,
is it realistic?
I don't think it'll get off the ground. I mean, because it's largely symbolic. But the other thing, you see, he's not talking about taking on any more civil servants. He's talking about spreading the present civil, in the same way that Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson did, moved civil servants, DVLC to South Wales, the Mint to Llantrist, the Armoury, to all those things. Yeah. And so it's going to be very, very difficult. But on the other hand, what I think may work is that when the BBC, which is a minor broadcasting platform that some of you may have heard of, when they decided to move to Salford, they thought it was the end of the world. And yet it actually worked.
But they're not running the country. And the other thing...
Well, no, you tell them that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But the point is, surely the most important relationship in government is between the Prime Minister and the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Yeah. So is he taking the Chancellor with him these 2 days a week so that they can talk face-to-face on issues?
I think that's a really important point, Mike, because I think it shows that he is going to dilute the power of the Treasury, which clearly dictated every word in that defence investment plan, because the Defence Minister on the made around said he saw it 2 days ago.
Yes.
So that, and if he is going to do that, I support him.
Well, OK, but I also say that if David Miliband becomes the Chancellor of the Exchequer and
Ed Miliband.
Sorry, Ed Miliband, beg your pardon.
David, he's the Foreign Secretary.
Ed Miliband becomes Chancellor of the Exchequer and Andy is in the north, Ed Miliband will make mischief.
He'll run the show.
Interesting predictions.
Give Healy the job.
And we are going to have that cake a little later. Who made the cake?
It's Mr. Pan, Pan's Bake. He's this guy from Kathmandu. He's a Nepali baker in Hanwell, West London, or God's own country, as we call it.
You said an appalling baker.
No,
what have you done to us?
Man.
Mr. Pan.
Anyway, we've been told to move on because a very patient Sam Francis is waiting for your 60-second news update.
An appalling baker.
Very good morning to you. Just after 10:30, the headlines this hour. Andy Burnham, who is likely to become the next Prime Minister, is facing a funding gap of nearly £5 billion if he's to meet the government's new defence spending targets. Sir Keir Starmer announced there would be an extra £15 billion for the armed forces over the next 4 years, but Treasury documents show only £10 billion has been found so far. 2 Hampshire police officers are under investigation for potential gross misconduct over the arrest and handcuffing of stabbed student Henry Novak. The police watchdog says that the officers may have failed to recognise that he needed urgent medical help after he said he had been stabbed and could not breathe. The family of a 3-year-old boy seriously injured in the zoo's crocodile enclosure has thanked the staff who rescued him. The boy remains at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge in a stable condition, but faces a long road to recovery. Household energy bills are going to rise by 13% from today for millions of people in England, Scotland and in Wales. The price cap set by the regulator is going up to reflect the higher wholesale costs that hit suppliers during the US and Israel's war with Iran. And the Home Secretary has banned asylum seekers from being housed in new-build homes after a backlash over plans for a Shropshire development. It comes after more than 80 asylum seekers were set to move into a new development in Stoke Heath, which locals say they were told would be affordable housing. Those are the latest headlines for now. A full roundup at the top of the hour.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Up next from today, household energy bills. I'm afraid they're going up again. We'll tell you how much they're going up, but we are going to give you some top tips to try to keep those costs down, so don't miss it. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office. It's a fine start for many of us today. A lot of cloud around, the best of any brightness in the south, with the cloud turning thicker in the north later, leading to some persistent rain. Initially, we do have some showers through Wales, northern England, much of Scotland. These are mostly light and confined to the hills, but the cloud builds across Northern Ireland later, allowing for some rain to roll in. Ahead of that, some clear spells, some sunshine emerging through Wales, the south of England, and temperatures responding reasonably. We're into the low to mid-20s. Further north, high teens, low 20s. But it's going to turn breezy as the more persistent rain arrives into western Scotland and Northern Ireland through the evening. That rain eventually reaching parts of the north and east of Scotland, but it's light and patchy here. Shetland, dry until after dark. But here's the rain for the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland turning heavy and persistent as it moves in. Light and patchy rain for Northern England, mostly over hills, but clear spells for the southern half of the UK. So this remarkable contrast developing overnight with a lot of wet and breezy weather in the north of the country, clear skies further south. A mild night for sleeping for many of us, with the cloud and the breeze keeping temperatures high. And then by the end of the night, cloud thickens across many parts of England and Wales to bring some dribs and drabs of rain in, mostly over western hills and coasts, first thing Thursday. Temperatures of 16 or 17 Celsius from dawn, and a lot of mist and murk in the south of the country before the cloud and the patchy, showery rain clears through the morning. So brightening skies for England and Wales after a bit of a grey start. But further north, we've got a fresh breeze coming in from the west, bringing some showers into the north of Scotland, but actually plenty of fine weather, and temperatures responding well once again. 26 Celsius in the south, 20 further north.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The M73 southbound Junction 2 on-slip from Baillieston roundabout remains closed due to essential and planned maintenance work expected to continue for several days. Meanwhile, significant congestion is reported southbound on the A470 between Nantgarv and Corriton, causing additional travel delays and frustration for drivers. Further, Avanti West Coast currently has no service on the trains, while the Great Northern Line is experiencing disruption between Cambridge and Hitchin, affecting commuters. Please plan your journeys accordingly and remain patient during these disruptions. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
To all of you who voted for GB News to win at the Trick Awards for the 4th year in a row.
And the winner is GB News.
Thank you so much for voting for us. It's because of you that we're so proud to be the People's Channel, and it's because of you that we are Britain's news channel.
It's voted for the people who watch us.
Well, we've got the best viewers in the world, haven't we? The most loyal viewers.
Thank you.
Welcome back. It's 21 minutes to 11. You're watching Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
Well, millions of households are going to be paying more for their gas and electricity from this month as Ofgem's new energy price cap takes effect.
Well, the cap for an average household is rising by 13% to £1,862 a year.
The regulator blames higher wholesale gas prices linked to the conflict in the Middle East.
Well, we can now speak with consumer journalist and expert Harry Wallop. Harry, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, we've known this was coming for some time. The price rise is an inevitable consequence of the war in the Middle East and the spike in oil prices. Can we assume that next time the cap is set, the price will come down?
Well, it's very hard to say. There are some long-term predictions. So we've got this cap is for the next 3 months, so July, August and September. And then we have a new one coming in where it really matters, of course, because winter we use far more gas to heat our homes. That's October, November and December. And the predictions say that actually the bills will go up maybe 1%, maybe 2%, which doesn't sound much, but that could be as much as maybe £35 on an annual basis. So we think they're more likely to go up in the winter than come down, but no one's predicting a dramatic increase. And this is for the simple reason that, the conflict in the Middle East isn't over, and wholesale gas prices have started to come down, but they're still higher than they were than before the conflict started.
It's a big hike, Harry, and of course in the summer it will be less of an issue for people because they won't need the heating on, particularly with the hot weather at the moment. But going into the autumn, this is going to be perhaps quite difficult for some families to pay the bill. Are there ways you can suggest that they can mitigate that cost?
Yeah, absolutely. The key thing is to remember the things that cost money on your bill is heating air and heating water. So you could go around and turn all the lights off in your house and that won't make that much difference. If you turned all the lights off for an hour a day, you're saving literally just a few pounds across the whole of a year. If you turn your thermostat down by 1%, that's a huge difference. I mean, that's often as much as £100, £150 off the cost of an annual bill. So if you can feel comfortable turning your thermostat down, that's the biggest thing you can do. And then the other thing is to turn down the temperature, your hot water temperature on your boiler. If you think of us, when we run a bath, many of us run the hot water tap and a bit of cold. So you're paying to heat up all the water and then you're mixing it with cold because it's too hot. Well, if it's too hot, you don't need your boiler to use all that energy heating that water up. So it's turning down the hot water a little bit, turning down the thermostat a little bit. Those are the two really big things you can do.
Harry, do you think the price cap is a good idea? Of course, in the short term, it makes energy prices slightly more predictable, but some economists would say it's distorting the market. It means that consumers can't benefit from rapid downturns in prices.
That's a really good question, Miriam. And there are one or two deals where you can actually track daily prices. I think Octopus is one of the companies that offer that. So if you enjoy following global economics and the ups and downs and the topsy-turvy world of the Middle East, well, your gas bill can go up and down along with it. There are lots of fixes out there. So the key thing to remember is actually 6 out of 10 people are on the price cap. 4 out of 10 people have chosen to fix. I'm one of them. I'd like to think it's a sensible decision. I fixed many months ago, and I'm avoiding the price increase that's come in now. And you can fix your prices now for slightly cheaper than the current price cap. Now, of course, you're then taking a bet on what's going to happen to gas prices on the wholesale market over the next 12 months. And I would recommend people have a look. And if there are no exit fees, so that's the key thing. If you look at exit fees, if you're being charged, it doesn't matter if you're going to save money now, if you're then being charged £100 to get out of your contract because the prices have fallen, you want to get a better deal, then that's a false economy. But if you hunt around, there are 1 or 2 deals where if you want to play safe, you want to fix your prices for the next year, then that's actually worth considering.
And Harry, can you give me some advice? I am bombarded by my energy supplier who keep telling me I have to change my meter to a smart meter.
Welcome to my world, Andrew.
Is that the law?
I too am bombarded.
Yeah,
Ignore
it drives
them.
me nuts. I do. Thank you for that.
Ignore them. It will not. A smart meter will not save you any money whatsoever. It is for the convenience of the energy company. Now, it's not unuseful. I have to go down to my, the cupboard underneath the stairs and take a photo with my phone, once a month and then put it in. So, it does save you a bit of hassle and you will get more accurate bills as a result of the smart meter, but it won't save you any money. It's purely for their benefit. What it might be, if you were to buy an electric car, and I can't imagine you're the sort of man to buy an electric car.
I will not be buying one, Harry.
Then that might help you get a better deal, for instance, where you get cheaper energy to charge up your car at night than during the day, and you do need a smart meter to kind of calculate when is a good time to use your energy and when's not.
Yeah. But I think they do this because I think some people just give in the end, think, OK, I can't stand it. I'm going. But there's no compunction in law that we've all got to have a smart meter by 2030 in the milliband mash dash to net zero.
No, none whatsoever. I mean, of course, a lot of us have got very old meters. I mean, my meter does look like it was, from the Victorian era with kind of cogs whirring round. So there will come a point when it breaks. and they come to replace it, I mean, it is their meter. They have the option. I mean, they can say it has to be a smart meter. And you know, there are lots of conspiracy theories about smart meters spying on you. They're not at all. They're just gathering data, and it's quite useful data to work out when people use their energy most and when they don't. But just to reiterate, it's for the convenience of the energy companies, not for the householders.
Harry, we have to leave it there.
Good
Thank
advice.
you so much for that advice.
I think a lot of people are getting the same emails that I'm getting.
Well, you don't need a smart meter for your push bike, Andrew.
I do not, and I do not have an electric car, and I will not be getting an electric car. It is a ridiculous
I think that the cogs and wheels are more your
There's
thing.
one charger in my street.
One car charger?
Yeah.
Golly, yeah.
And it's quite a long street.
Yeah, it's not very popular where you live. Well, coming up next, Sir Ian McKellen unveils a love letter to England ahead of their World Cup clash versus Congo tonight. We'll bring that to you in a moment.
But first, if you're in... Do Ian McKellen know about football?
More than us, Andrew.
Probably he does. But first, if you are in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of our top European destinations.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Mixed weather across southern Europe at the moment. Quite a few showers for Italy, some thunderstorms, breezy through central parts of the Mediterranean, as well as the Canary Islands and Madeira. But an emerging hot spell is expected through Portugal and for south and west Spain. Temperatures of 40 Celsius for Lisbon. Unusually hot for this location. Here are the showers for Italy, but they ease during Friday and into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
The final preparations before a world first. At RAF Wittering in Cambridgeshire, these JCB mechanics and engineers are attempting to rewrite history, chasing a world land speed record with a hydrogen car. The JCB Hydromax puts out 1,600 horsepower, powered entirely by two hydrogen-fuelled internal combustion engines. The 32-foot-long vehicle is trying to beat JCB's existing record, which was achieved with a diesel engine back in 2006. It reached a speed of over 350 miles an hour. For chairman of JCB Lord Bamford, the new car is about pushing the boundaries of new technology.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Father's Day has long been a fixture in the family calendar. But as household budgets remain under pressure, some are questioning whether the tradition of buying gifts is beginning to fade. Jim Cox has worked in the gift-giving industry for more than 30 years and says Father's Day simply isn't the draw it once was.
We're kind of reliant on the big gifting period. Father's Day is probably the weakest of like the bigger gifting events. It's picked up a bit this week, but probably not as much as I would expect. And I think generally people, like average basket size isn't really where I'd want it either. So I think people are spending a bit less, being a bit careful, and also thinking general trend in gifting is thinking maybe about experiences and spending time with people.
GB News, the People's Channel. GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
What does it do for people who are wounded, injured or sick veterans? What does it do for them to do this sort of voyage on this wonderful sailing ship?
Good morning. It is that human impact, and that's why Turn to Starboard exists, and even at the Invictus Games Birmingham 2027. It's about giving people maybe a reset, maybe seeing, taking that breath, but also a bit of camaraderie as well. Literally everybody's in the same boat. The blue environment is completely different. Everything is different on a boat. Walking, sitting down, making a cup of tea, even going to the loo is slightly different. So we can give people a break from sort of the pressures of life.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. Now, the England football team are set to play the Democratic Republic of Congo at 5 p.m. for a place in the last 16 teams of the World Cup.
They've written Congo on there. What do they think? It's a dance.
I know, it did slightly trip me up. But hopefully our viewers didn't notice until you said that.
Well, our fabulous Nobel laureate, frankly, of actors, Sir Ian McKellen, has unveiled a love letter to England ahead of the clash to get us in the spirit.
That where they have passion, we are polite, yet we are the lions that roar. That we are the ones who queue and queue, but what are we waiting for?
It's very moving, Andrew.
Yeah, look, it's terrific. It's the national sport, and we've got to hope it all works out. He's collaborated with James Graham, who did that brilliant play at the National, Dear England, which was particularly about Gareth Southgate, who was that England manager, football manager. And we're going to speak to Brendan Cox, who's the co-founder of the Together Coalition, who's also part of this film. Brendan, are you a football fan? I don't think you necessarily need to be to get behind this film anyway.
I am a football fan, particularly when it comes to the World Cup. I am excited about the 5 o'clock kickoff, and I think, as you say, this is both about our identity, who we are as a country. James Graham, who did the writing of it, was joking earlier that you could get Ian McKellen to read out your tax return and it would sound like Shakespeare. So it is stirring. It is, I think, powerful. I hope it is something that we can all get behind in the run up to the day. But it's not just James's writing. It's not just Ian's voice. It is based on thousands of submissions to the national conversation, which is trying to ask people in the country what it is that unites us, what divides us, what would bring us closer together. So while, we've been incredibly lucky to have James holding the pen and Ian's voice, this is actually representing far more people right across the country in terms of what they actually think connects us.
Brendan, it's a really interesting exercise because the idea of a common national identity is very much in crisis at the moment. I mean, partly because of a lot of immigration over recent years, but even before that, we've jettisoned some of the common story, the common religion, the common history that previously has held us together. What are the common themes that have come out of your study? What are the things that do unite us other than football?
So firstly, I should say that the national conversation has just started. It opened a month ago. It runs until the end of August, and we'd love your viewers to go to thenationalconversation.org.uk and have their say, because this is still in the early stages. But what we've got already from the thousands of responses that have been coming out is exactly what you say, that we've made a bit of a mistake in not emphasising what connects us, that we've spent too much of our time talking about our divides and not the things that we've got in common. And those might be really soft cultural things like queuing. I think that's a bit in the film, the stiff upper lip, the politeness. That's all there, and that comes through when you ask people about their English identity. It's also institutions. It's things like the armed forces. It's things like the royal family. It's things like the sporting team. So there's those things, but then there's also a sense that we're a country which is incredibly tolerant, that it's a country that brings people together, that it's a country that's proud of our democratic history and our democratic present, even if we don't think our politicians are necessarily doing a good job at any individual stage. So there are, I do think one of the themes that comes out of this is that we do spend so much of our time talking about our differences. People, when it comes to the World Cup, we cheer together, our hearts break together all too often. We sort of look forward to the penalties together, if that's the right.
I think we dread the penalties, Brendan. I think we dread the penalties.
I think that is entirely. Hopefully, that won't be something that will happen today. But in either case, we'd love people to watch this film, but we'd also love people to add their voice, because it isn't what Sir Ian McKellen thinks, it's not what James Graham thinks, it's actually what people think that unites us, which is the important thing. We have to capture that. I agree with you. We've not been good at capturing that in the last while. We have to get much better.
All right, and just give us a prediction, Brendan. What's the score going to be? Because Miriam and I haven't a clue.
So I always predict for basically the worst possible outcome. So, DRC 3, England 0, just on the basis that
on that basis, I almost get my football predictions wrong. So I hope actually England will win 2-0.
Let's hope.
We'll
Brendan
take that
Cox,
from
thank you so much.
And it's a terrific film, by the way. Congratulations.
Yeah, brilliant.
Still ahead, Labour women demanding parity in Andy Burnham's government when he appoints his ministers. Should he be listening?
I want to know, Andrew, are you going to put a bet on the football? Because knowing you, you'll win.
No, I'm not. Well, maybe I will.
Go on then.
What on the whole thing?
No. Well, I meant on tonight match, but you could put it on the whole thing.
We were supposed to be having a sweep in GB News.
Oh, we forgot.
I even gave Miriam Cates £2 to start the sweep. She's robbed me of the £2.
It bought me a third of a coffee.
And there's been no sweep. I'd have
Sorry about that.
probably got Iran.
Yeah, I'm afraid I lost interest, but anyway.
Yeah.
But I will watch it. I mean, I'm not a massive football fan, but there is something about England playing and the common, the emotional roller coaster, especially if it gets to penalties. Although, did you see Germany lost on penalties the other day?
I thought that was hilarious too.
So maybe roles are being reversed and we've got a chance.
I need to know who's your favourite footballer.
Well, I only know one because you told me. Harry Kane.
And who's your favourite Democratic Congo player? Brendan Cox, 3-0 to Democratic Congo.
We've got to go. We're coming up soon, though. Britain's News on GB News. See you soon.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash. And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time. But I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Morning, it's 11 o'clock on Wednesday, the 1st of July, live across the United Kingdom. Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
Well, there appears to be a defence black hole. The Prime Minister leaves Andy Burnham with a £5 billion bill to fund his military plan. But former Defence Secretary John Healey says it leaves Britain unsafe.
That more needs to be done in the months ahead, beyond the dip, to develop a clear, credible funding plan that will hit 3%.
And some important breaking news. 2 police officers who arrested 18-year-old Henry Novak before his death are now being investigated for gross misconduct.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister takes on Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch at Prime Minister's Questions in just an hour. Don't miss it, it's one of his last.
And the Home Secretary, she's out and about again. This time she says she will stop illegal migrants using family ties to dodge deportation.
Also, Shabana Mahmood bans migrants from being housed in new builds. This is after a group of migrants were bound for £250,000 new builds in Shropshire.
And a demand already on Andy Burnham's desk. Women Labour MPs tell him he must have a 50-50 gender split in his ministerial lineup when he becomes Prime Minister.
That where they have passion, we are polite. Yet we are the lions that roar. That we are the ones who queue and queue. But what are we waiting for?
Sir Ian McKellen unveils his love letter to England ahead of their World Cup clash versus Congo tonight. Well, let's hope the 3 Lions are going to roar.
Well, Prime Minister's Questions will be another great opportunity for Kemi Badenoch. This will be his penultimate PMQs, because next week we think he's going to be at the NATO summit with his ludicrous, half-baked defence investment plan. The following would be his final one before Burnham takes over. So what would she go on? The defence plan?
Defence, I would imagine. But we've seen so many of these in the last few years. You know, Cameron's last PMQs, Boris's last PMQs, Liz Truss's last PMQs. So unusual historically. Normally the last PMQs is just before an election, and then a Prime Minister is not re-elected. But we've had this string of Prime Ministers who've been deposed in office and had this kind of lame duck period. Is it going to happen again with Andy Burnham before the next election?
Once, as you know, Miriam, MPs get the scent of power and blood, and they can topple a leader. Much easier to topple a Prime Minister who doesn't have the mandate of the country.
Exactly.
Starmer won a general election. This guy's won a by-election, and he's a backbench MP.
That's right, and he looks shiny and new at the moment, and he's certainly a better communicator, much more charismatic than Keir Starmer. But if he is going to make some difficult decisions, which he's going to have to do, he's going to make himself unpopular.
Certainly will. As ever, tell us your thoughts on all our talking points today, but first the news with Sam Francis.
Very good morning to you. Just after 11 o'clock, the top story this hour, Andy Burnham could inherit a defence funding gap of nearly £5 billion if he becomes Prime Minister next month. Sir Keir Starmer has promised an extra £15 billion for the armed forces over the next 4 years. He says that the money will come from cutting investment budgets in other areas, but Treasury documents show the government has only identified around 2/3 of the money so far. That leaves a £4.7 billion bill to deliver the defence investment plan before any further pressure to increase military spending ahead of the next general election. Well, speaking earlier, the Defence Secretary Dan Jarvis has said that he has been given assurance that Andy Burnham, if he becomes Prime Minister, would keep investment flowing into defence.
I absolutely have the assurance that as Prime Minister, Andy Burnham will make sure that we've got the investment coming into defence. That's good for our nation, good for our national security, but it's also good for economic prosperity, and it's companies and workers in this part of the country that I think will benefit very well from the new investment that we've announced.
In other news this morning, 2 Hampshire police officers are under investigation for potential gross misconduct over the arrest and handcuffing of stabbed student Henry Novak. The Independent Office for Police Conduct says the officers were first to arrive at the scene on the 3rd of December 2025. The watchdog says they may have failed to recognise that Henry needed urgent medical care after he said he had been stabbed and could not breathe. It's also examining the decision to arrest and handcuff him rather than provide immediate first aid. One officer is also being investigated over whether they appeared to dismiss Henry when he had said he'd been stabbed. Millions of households in England, in Scotland and in Wales are set to pay more for energy from today as Ofgem raises the price cap by 13%. The average gas and electricity bill now rises to £1,862 a year. The regulator says suppliers faced higher wholesale costs during the US-Iran war. The cap, though, limits what suppliers can charge per unit of energy, but it does not put a hard limit on households' total bill. Meanwhile, energy debt has hit a record high, with households owing suppliers £4.7 billion in just the 3 months to March of this year. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, has banned asylum seekers from being housed in new-build homes. That's after backlash over plans for a Shropshire development. It comes after more than 80 asylum seekers were set to move into new-build homes in the small village of Stoke Heath. The homes were reported to be worth around £250,000 each. Locals say they were told that the development would be used for affordable housing. The Home Office says the Home Secretary has now introduced robust procedures to make sure that new-build sites like Stoke Heath can never be considered again. And the government says it's trying to fix a prison system let's just check what this says here. The government says it is trying to fix the prison system, claiming that it was left just days from collapse. Ministers are launching a review into violence and drugs and organised crime behind bars as they try to make jails safer and better at cutting crime in re-offending incidents in the prison system. Former Home Secretary Amber Rudd will be leading that review. The government says that recent figures show early signs of progress, with staff assaults, self-harm and self-inflicted deaths all falling. But ministers say they now want to root out the criminal networks and illicit drugs that they continue to drive violence inside prisons. Well, that is the latest news on GB News for now. I'll be back with you in around half an hour's time. Next, though, let's head back to Andrew and Miriam.
Hello, good morning and welcome. This is Britain's Newsroom. We're live across the United Kingdom on GB News with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Case.
Well, Sir Keir Starmer has dumped his successor right in it, hasn't he? With a huge £5 billion black hole in the Defence Department to deal with, and we know he's made some decisions which anger people very much, including going back on his pledge to upgrade military accommodation. Some of it is so substandard, damp, leaking, and there was hundreds of millions earmarked to improve the stock. That's been cut.
Absolutely, and the military's most important asset is personnel.
Of course it is.
And if you're considering spending a big portion of your life in the military and being housed by the military, it makes a big difference whether or not your housing is of decent quality. Absolutely. Especially, a lot of
if you're married with kids.
Exactly, servicemen will be going away, maybe on deployment, but their wives and children will be left in these houses.
Absolutely.
And if they're not of good standard, you can imagine the whole family thinking, well, actually, how long can we stick this for? Well, it's very short.
I imagine Kemi Badenoch will go on this at PMQs today.
Absolutely.
And if I were the Tories or Reform, I would push for an opposition day debate on this defence investment
absolutely.
plan.
That's a good point.
Because it will put Burnham under pressure immediately.
Absolutely. Well, Andy Burnham, the heir presumptive to number 10 and the new Makerfield MP, will have to find that money in his next budget, to fulfil the commitments in the Defence Investment Plan. Let's hear what new Defence Secretary Dan Jarvis had to say on the matter.
It's a commitment to spend £15 billion through the Defence Investment Plan. It's entirely routine that in major committals of resource that some of the money will be allocated in the context of the next budget or the next spending review. It is a £15 billion commitment. That is new money that I've secured over the past 2 weeks as the Defence Secretary. It means that we are now spending historically high levels on defence. You'd have to go back to the Cold War to think about the kinds of resource that we're now putting into defence. I absolutely have the assurance that as Prime Minister, Andy Burnham will make sure that we've got the investment coming into defence. That's good for our nation, good for our national security, but it's also good for economic prosperity.
Well, joining us now is a former paratrooper and Senior Associate Fellow at the Henry Jackson Society, Andrew Fox. Mr Fox, good morning. This was a very, very long-awaited plan. It was meant to be published soon after the Defence Review. It got pushed back to the autumn, then Christmas, then the spring, and finally it's been forced to be published. Do you think it was worth waiting for?
Well, it certainly doesn't cover everything we need. You've already spoken about I think it's 4.7 billion that Andy Burnham's going to have to find in his first budget to make things up here. And then, of course, Defence has to find another 10 billion in efficiency savings between now and 2030. And from my experience in the military, efficiency almost always means cuts to something. So it's not ideal. And really, the money they've invested is barely a drop in the ocean to fill the needs that we have, not only today, but also in the future as technology develops and as the world becomes more unstable.
We saw how ill prepared we were, Andrew, didn't we, when the Cyprus Arm military base came under attack during the Iran war, and it took us, a month to get a ship there, and even when it got there, it was incapable of doing anything because it needed urgent repairs. I mean, we used to be a great maritime power.
We did, and the fact that we've cancelled potentially more destroyer orders as well doesn't bode particularly well for the future. But look, I'm not in the camp here who run down our armed forces all the time. Actually, we have some fantastic niche capabilities that we can contribute towards coalition operations, and our soldier sailors, airmen are second to none. There's just not enough of any of it, and that speaks to the first problem we have here: is what the military looks like today. It needs more ammunition. It needs more planes, ships, and tanks. That's the first half of the Defence Investment Plan's problem. The second half is the one that really concerns me because it's where we go going forward. We know, looking at Ukraine, that technological advancements are happening weekly rather than yearly. It's going so fast, exponentially quick developments. We know that AI is coming. We know that autonomy is coming. We know our enemies are going to be operating without a human in the loop because they don't care about the ethics and morals that we have. So how do we not only match that ourselves on the battlefield, but also defend the home front against these things? We're seeing the drone strikes from Ukraine into Russia, for example, as the drone effectively just flies around all the defensive systems and weaves its way through them to hit its target. Like, where are our defences on the home front to guard against that happening to us in future? There's a lot of questions here about how we procure it, how we pay for it, and how we use it. And I don't think the DIP really answers those problems in a way that is coherent.
Now, Andrew, the Treasury would say that we're one of the best funded militaries in the world. We will be the third biggest spender in NATO, and yet we don't seem to be getting enough for our money. The French, for example, spend a smaller amount in cash terms, but seem to have a greater capability. Do you think the Treasury have got a point that actually problems with procurement and efficiency and poor decisions are as much to blame for our defence weaknesses as the overall amount of money in the system?
Yes and no. I can't give you a clear answer on that for two reasons. First of all, we have the sixth biggest military budget in the world, and yet we don't have the sixth most capable military. So that is a fair point. But we also have to look what goes into that budget. So unlike other countries, we include the nuclear budget within defence. We include armed forces pensions within defence.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
There's a lot of sleight of hand on the Treasury's part when it comes to talking about the overall amount of money we spend on defence. So yes, have the armed forces failed to spend their money properly? Up to a certain point, yes. But also the amount of money that's in the pot, quite a lot of it goes on to other things that are not direct military capability. And so, we have to balance those two facts before we come to that decision. But yeah, absolutely, there's problems that need reform, and I would fully support that. And it's going to get worse going forward, as I said, with the way that we procure equipment in an era when technology is changing it on a day-by-day basis. That's going to be really difficult to do. And it's a hard problem that I don't think anyone is really grappling with yet.
And of course, we've got the ongoing war with Ukraine, Andrew, which is a drain. Well, it's a terrible thing, and the British government is absolutely foursquare committed to military support, but that is draining money away, you could argue, from our armed forces here.
Well, I think the counterpoint to that is actually some of the best defence investment we've made in decades.
Right.
Because we're seeing the Russian army getting absolutely taken apart on the battlefield. Putin is getting weaker by the day, and that directly benefits us without us having to deploy almost a single troop. We do have some troops training on the ground in Ukraine, but in terms of numbers, it's minimal. And, we're achieving all of these things against Russia, our main enemy, who tell us that we're their enemy, who have carried out executions on British soil, who have attacked our undersea cables and our infrastructure, and who spread disinformation to attack our societal cohesion. We're fighting them without even a a life lost. We've lost one from my own regiment, actually. But, in the grand scale of things, this is a great investment in Ukraine that makes us absolutely safer.
Well, Andrew Fox, thank you so much for your time this morning. That's Andrew Fox, who's a Senior Associate Fellow at the Henry Jackson Society. Andrew, I do find the whole thing so frustrating. We're spending so much money on the welfare budget. It's increased so much just in a few years. That money could easily be redirected to defence. And yet, instead, the government is penny pinching, trying to find £1 billion by delaying cadet rollout. Well, that seems to be a false economy, because you need a pipeline of people interested in the armed forces. Yeah. It's just extraordinary. And you think, cannot the government see the obvious here, which is to at least just scale back welfare to kind of 2019 levels?
Well, those fractious Labour MPs won that victory last year, and Andy Burnham will be acutely aware of that. Now, he's got a lot of goodwill on his side. If he was to say, I'm revisiting it, and that £5 billion's going through, he might just pull it off.
He might, indeed. Well, we'll see.
And that's a £5 billion black hole fixed.
Well, the government's giving away money. We're giving away money. It's time for our Great British Giveaway. Your chance to join the Golden Summer celebrations and win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar worth over £5,000. You can keep it, give it to a loved one, or send it to Andrew.
Yeah.
Postage would cost quite a lot, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah. What is the cost of a postage?
Oh, it's
about £1.80 or something?
It's incredible, yeah. It is. It makes Christmas cards very expensive to send.
Really does. So good luck with that. Here's how you win it.
We're celebrating a golden summer with a terrific two-part Great British Giveaway. First, you could win a sensational £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like this year. What would you do with that? And that's not all, as you'll also win our most precious prize to date, a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. It's pure gold to own, trade or gift to a loved one and secure their financial future. So make sure you don't miss your chance to bank over £65,000 worth of prizes in our Golden Summer celebration. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, coming up next, Prince William warns... Sorry, I'm halfway through a blueberry.
She's actually mocking me.
Oh, well, that too. Double
Prince
giggle.
William warns homelessness should not be ignored when it's left to the state. Just a thought, Prince William. Buckingham Palace has got 740 rooms.
Yeah.
It's been empty for a long time. We know the King's not going to live there. Why not give that to our military?
I think that is a very good idea.
Very nice, desirable central London residents. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. You can protect the monarch one day and go back to your accommodation the next.
And if they share. That's 1,500. It's 1,500 officers or military in there.
I think you've solved the problem. Well, we'll be going through that and more with Stephen Pound and Mike Parry. This is Britain's Newsroom on GB News. So they're eating the cake. Shall I get it? Very tasty.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's quiet in the studio. Right. It's 22 minutes past 11. You're with Britain's Newsroom on GB News with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Kate. And you can already hear them. Stephen Power and Mike Parry.
Poundy and Parry are in the studio. Here they are.
Well, shall we start with Prince William? Andrew has had a fantastic idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, he's talking about homelessness and he says he's going to give up some 20% of the hundreds of properties on Duchy of Cornwall land to try and help the homelessness crisis.
Yes.
But I was just looking, Mike, you know, he didn't do bad, does he, Prince William? He's got a 10-bedroom property in Norfolk, a 3-bedroom cottage in Balmoral. He's got an 8-bedroom house in Windsor. It's always uncomfortable when somebody from such a privileged background
puts on a sleeping bag and stays out for the night and, you know, opens up his heart to the homeless.
I feel your pain.
Michael,
but it's a noble thing that he's trying to do.
It's a very noble thing. And by the way, when they do those things, it's not comfortable. My own football team, Everton, we have Everton in the community. Once a year, we all sleep out on the street, you know what I mean? Because that's to get in with it. So it really is quite
Everton
a sacrifice.
is in a poor part of Liverpool.
It's in Liverpool, and you're right. But nevertheless, you know, he can't help the fact that he's got all these properties. It comes with a job, a job as the Prince of Wales. But he is reaching out into the community. I think he's trying to engender this, you know, getting closer to the people image. And remember, football-wise, he's very prominent. He's a big Aston Villa fan. You see him there in the crowd sometimes with his son, George, and he makes himself a man of the people. And he can't win in this situation, because if he ignored it and said, well, it would look ridiculous for me in my privileged position to try and help the homeless, he would be criticised.
I don't know about Everton. An absolute prediction. When I do my podcast later with Kevin Maguire, he will attack privileged Prince William instead of welcoming.
I think he's said something very interesting, Stephen, which could be classed as political, but we'll gloss over that. But he said that homelessness is overlooked once it becomes the state's problem. I think that's a very interesting thought.
I would say vis-à-vis Everton, I must admit, I've fallen asleep at Fulham a few times, but usually...
Yeah, well, that's very obvious.
But let's just get this. He's done a lot of work with the Passage, which is actually... performed by one of the Cardinal Hume, Basil Hume, in the back of Westminster Cathedral. And they do very, very good work. But he's making very, very interesting points. As long as people think that homelessness is the responsibility of the state, that absolves them from having any personal responsibility for it. One of the awful things you did, you quite rightly talked about placing veterans in Buckingham Palace.
Why not?
We did a survey, I remember that quite a few years ago now. We did one of these checkups of basically everybody in Central London, working with the Salvation Army and various other groups. There was a very, very high percentage of ex-servicemen and women who were sleeping on the street.
There are.
In virtually every case, it was following marital breakdown, sort of mental problems, which makes me think, are we actually helping people when they leave the armed forces? The point you make, it's about responsibility.
It's also because they're in a community when they're in the armed forces, and that community ends, and they feel isolated and lonely.
Well, one minute you're told you've got the rig of the day, you've got the clothes you get, but so the Royal Naval Pension Scheme used to give you so much rum that you'd stagger out of the gates of Devonport Naval Dockyard and drop dead met in Union Street.
Yeah. Well, I've lived on the South Coast for many years, and of course there's a lot of veterans down there. And all the time you see a veteran sleeping in a mouldy old sleeping bag in a shop doorway, and then we look at the immigration problem and what facilities are put forward to help illegal immigrants in this country, and that's the big row. And doesn't this come in the week when the government has changed the law so that anybody can now camp out on the streets anyway, which I don't think is a very helpful move whatsoever, because that usually is taken advantage of by the sort of people you see in Park Lane in London who have come to this country without any facilities and all that, and these grow up all over the place. So it is a big issue, and I'm glad that that William has focused on it, but obviously a lot more needs to be done.
It's also interesting.
I just want to move on to the Queen, because Prince William,
sticking with the royals.
Thank you for that. Thank you for scripting for me. It's also being done in my ear, so I'm getting it from two angles. Prince William has perhaps got involved in politics. Maybe the Queen has too, because who did she meet with yesterday?
Well, she met with J.K. Rowling yesterday. Now, J.K. Rowling is a hate figure for a certain group, a particular sort of trans activist in this country.
You can see on screen now J.K. Rowling and Queen Camilla.
I have to say, some of the comments that have been directed against J.K. Rowling and some of the physical assaults and some of the sort of the attacks on her have been brutal, appalling. And then, she's been accused of being sort of anti-trans and
absolutely appalling. I think the Queen is.
She's making a statement, Mike. She's making a statement.
She is. At 79 years of age, the Queen has said, I'm standing alongside you. J.K. Rowling has not only been vilified by the trans movement, she's actually been turned on by all those young actors and actresses. She turned into multi-millionaires by writing the Harry Potter books.
Including the guy who played Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe.
Exactly, and the lead lady, whose name I can't remember.
Watson.
Thank you very much indeed. And they turned on her in the most brutal fashion. And if they thought J.K. Rowling was going to take it, they were wrong, because J.K. Rowling issued a statement to Emma Watson and said, look, I know what you're at, and everything I've given you, you've thrown back in my face. So I'm a big fan of J.K. Rowling, and I'm delighted the Queen stood alongside her.
We should remember that the Harry Potter books have brought millions of people, children, into reading.
But the other thing is, of course, J.K. Rowling lives in Scotland. She wrote the books in a coffee bar in Scotland. And Scotland had some of the most absurd laws. The idea about having men identifying as women in women's prisons. So I think in some ways
Sturgeon.
It'd be very, very difficult not to be totally radicalised if you're living there. And I think the fact what Queen Camilla has done is, when you say standing side by side, standing shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a courageous statement, but above all, it is a very strong statement. And don't forget, there have been 3 court cases in Scotland now. In each case, the Procurator Fiscal, the law officers, have actually upheld the right of women-only spaces.
Yes, exactly.
By a logical women.
Exactly. And, of course, it's happened in England as well. The Supreme Court. So,
even though half of the public bodies in this country, like the NHS, have ignored the Supreme Court.
And even though the Women's Minister, Bridget Phillipson, spent a year actually endorsing the decision of the Supreme Court, because, of course, she didn't want it to happen.
She's not, the Women's Minister, but I mean...
She's Equalities Minister.
Exactly.
She's Equalities.
Education.
And Equalities.
She's got Equalities. Overweight, which she's not there is a Women's Minister, but...
well, hang on. Equalities Minister means making sure men and women are equal.
Yeah, she is. All people are equal, hopefully. But look, I mean, there was, as you know, we've got tied ourselves in knots over this over the last couple of years.
I haven't, Steve.
No, you haven't. No,
fair
play to you. Fair play to you.
Haven't tied themselves in knots. Politicians tied it in knots.
Andrew, I mean, I've got a real problem with this, because I know some men who've transitioned to women who are actually totally women in every...
No, they are not,
well, except they don't have a service.
Would you like a biology lesson?
Yeah. Well, no, OK. But look at April Ashley, look at Jan Morris. You can't say...
Anybody can dress up as a woman, and
this was more than that.
And with some surgery and hormones, you can make yourself appear more like a woman. But in every single one of the billions of cells in your body is an XY chromosome.
Stephen, once a left. You see,
you
tied yourself in knots in it as well.
There are so many physiological...
You tied yourself in knots.
I hope it's not...
fallen for it.
Andrew, I hope it's not a left-right issue. And I think you're absolutely right, but look...
Well, I think it is, because unfortunately it turns out the facts of life are conservative, and it does seem to be a lot of magical thinking on the left. I don't know why there is, but there is, and it seems to be more people on the left that can't accept
I totally agree. Do you think we should give a mention to the fact that our mighty country is playing in the World Cup this evening?
I do. I want a prediction from the scores. We are playing the Democratic Republic of Congo, who 3-1.
3-1.
Number in the world?
They're somewhere... They're about 30 now. They're about 30.
In the world.
I think they're 32, 34. Point is, it's in Atlanta. Atlanta's one of the hottest places I've ever been to. It's absolutely boiling there.
So the Congolese team will be all right?
Well, maybe they'll be more used to it. African nations are getting stronger and stronger. But remember, in this World Cup already, some legendary countries, Germany, Holland, have gone out.
Right.
So you've got to say to yourself, England have an opportunity, certainly, to shine amongst the European countries.
But Mike, one of the issues is
they're currently ranked 46.
46,
the DRC fans are not being given visas to come there because of the Ebola crisis, so there'll be a lot of atmosphere.
So, prediction for the score?
3-1 UK. 3-1, sorry, England.
I would say by 2 goals. I'd say probably 2-0.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, just like the footballers, I think we need our hydration break.
Yeah, should we make a prediction?
Good
I'm
link.
going to say 3-0.
2.
Yes.
I think 2-0.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. Don't forget, we don't have a right back at the moment.
A what?
Yeah, well...
What? Both of our right backs.
Right, we've got to go.
As long as we score more than we concede, we'll win.
Stephen,
right back is.
No, Stephen, Mike, thanks so much.
Right back in the
Let's not confuse the issue. There are goals, there's one at each end, they run a bit with the ball. That's all you need to know. Don't forget, Prime Minister's Question Time at midday. As always, Tom Harwood and Gloria Di Piero want your questions for the Prime Minister. Send them to gbnews.com/your say, but don't forget to say who you are and where you're from.
And Miriam's going to continue her lesson for Stephen, who doesn't understand if it's a man and a woman.
But at least I understand football.
You're with Britain's Newsroom on GB News.
It's true, it's fair.
Hello, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A fine day by and large today. There will be some wet weather coming into western Scotland, the west of Northern Ireland later on. Temperatures about average for most places, but quite warm across the southeast. High pressure edging in from the south, but low pressure also pushing in across the north, and that will bring the rain, just patchy rain initially, spreading its way into Northern Ireland, then into the west coast of Scotland. 1 or 2 showers possible ahead of that, particularly across Scotland. The odd shower elsewhere is just about possible, especially for East Anglia, but most of England and Wales dry with a mixture of cloudy skies and some sunshine. And when the sun's out, temperatures getting up to 25, 26 across the southeast. Otherwise, fairly close to average for the time of year. There's the rain edging its way in further north, but generally staying fine. A pretty good evening. The cloud melting away further this evening over South Wales and southwest England. As I said, small chance of a shower over eastern England, but certainly turning pretty damp across Northern Ireland and western Scotland. Not just the rain, but the winds also picking up. That area of low pressure bringing some gusty conditions into the west coast of Scotland by this evening time, and that rain fairly extensive through this evening over Scotland and Northern Ireland too. It will then spread into northern England during this evening, so some rain turning up in North Wales as well, and gradually spreading further south through the early hours. Much of East Anglia in the southeast though likely to stay dry, and it turns drier across Scotland and Northern Ireland, but gusty and blustery temperatures will hold up in the south. Quite a warm night here, 16, 17 the low, whereas further north things turning fresher, and certainly a fresh, gusty, blustery start to Thursday. Haven't seen lively winds for a while. They'll gradually ease down through the day, but it stays windy across Shetland. Some showery rain across the south initially. That should clear through, and then many places turning sunnier by the time we get to the afternoon. Just 1 or 2 scattered showers in northern Scotland. Again, quite warm in the southeast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very, very easy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, next up, we've got Sam Francis with our headlines.
Very good morning to you. Just after 11:30, the top story this hour. Andy Burnham, who is likely to become the next Prime Minister, is facing a funding gap of nearly £5 billion if he's to meet the government's new defence commitments. As Keir Starmer announced there would be £15 billion more for the armed forces over the next 4 years. But Treasury documents show only £10 billion has been found so far. 2 Hampshire police officers are under investigation for potential gross misconduct over the arrest and handcuffing of stabbed student Henry Novak. The police watchdog says the officers may have failed to recognise he needed urgent medical help after he said he had been stabbed and could not breathe. Household energy prices will rise by 13% from today for millions of people in England, Scotland and in Wales. The price cap set by the regulator Ofgem is going up to reflect the higher wholesale cost that hit suppliers during the US and Israel's war with Iran. The Home Secretary has banned asylum seekers from being housed in new-build homes after backlash over plans for a Shropshire development. It comes after more than 80 asylum seekers were set to move into a new development in Stoke Heath, which locals said they were told would be affordable housing. And the government says it is trying to fix a prison system it claims was left just days from collapse when it came to power. Ministers are launching a review into violence, drugs and organised crime behind bars as they try to make jails safer after better at cutting reoffending. Former Home Secretary Amber Rudd will lead the review. Those are the latest headlines. More from the newsroom after Prime Minister's questions.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
(11:37) Wednesday, the 1st of July. We are live across the UK. Britain's Newsroom with Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates.
Well, there's a defence black hole. The Prime Minister leaves Andy Burnham with £5 billion bill to fund his military defence plan. But I think we've already covered this.
We've done that already.
We have.
What you may not know about Miriam Cates is in a previous life, she was a teacher. So why don't you watch this?
It's in the quiet in the studio. It's in the quiet in the studio.
He was trying to get the panel, Poundy and Parry, to be good.
It was. It's true. It didn't work.
Not easy.
I tried my
best.
best.
It's even worse when Karen Malone's here.
Well, I think the problem is our panellists can't hear the directors, obviously, so they don't know when they're about to come in. But you'd think they'd pay attention, honestly.
Yeah. So look, this is
did my best.
We are now marking the 30th anniversary of theory tests in driving tests, which suggests that fewer than half of drivers today believe they'd be able to pass it today. Now, because I'm so old, I didn't do a theory test. I did the highway code. You just got asked a few questions from a book.
So in the practical test, the instructor asked you a few questions. OK, and you had to pass.
He asked me half a dozen, I think.
OK, so the
Stopping distances, that sort of thing.
Yes, what road signs mean. Can you read a number plate?
Yeah.
So, of course, in the modern test, well, 30 years old now, before you're allowed to sit the practical test, you have to sit a theory test on a computer in a test centre.
Really?
And you have a combination of questions about the highway code and stopping distances. But also, there's something called a hazard perception test, where on the screen you see a situation on a road where you're driving along and perhaps you might be driving between a whole road of parked cars, and as soon as you see a potential hazard, so a child kicking a ball into the street, someone opening their car door, you have to click a button to show that you've seen the hazard.
Right, so it's to check your reflexes, I guess. Right.
So I think probably, given that you didn't pass that test when you sat your driving test, we should give you a go now.
I didn't pass my driving test the first time either. I passed it the second time.
Well, you definitely need this then. So it's a mock hazard...
We have shiny buzzers here, and I warn you, I'm probably going to disrupt this test.
Yes, so for our radio viewers, we're going to show some potential hazards on the screen. And Andrew is going to click his buzzer when he sees something that he should be avoiding. Here we go. So let's have a look at our first hazard perception test.
Well, can't see that.
I don't think seeing a screen... Here we go. So we're driving along a country road, nothing much, grass verges on both sides.
No
cows. Seen a few trees. Perhaps we can see some water on the right. In the background. It's a pretty open country road. I should say you're going about 30 miles an hour.
Just saw a car.
Well, it was on the opposite side of the road coming towards you. It's not really a hazard.
No.
There's a train going over the bridge. Again, not really a hazard. Now, I think Andrew might have missed something. Here we go.
The bridge. There was
the
a bridge
road narrows
coming,
to
and the
one
road
lane.
narrowed, so only one car was going to get through there, so I saw that one.
Let's continue on our journey. So the one single lane track is hopefully going to widen to double lane track. Andrew, you're slightly on the wrong side of the road. 0 out of 5.
0 out of 5?
I think whoever was clicking for you in the gallery didn't click. The other excuse is the screen that we're looking at is absolutely tiny.
It is. I couldn't see a thing.
No.
So I wouldn't get me stopping distances now.
No.
I haven't driven a car for 5 years.
Oh, is that because you've lost your licence? Or?
No, because my other half won't let me near the steering wheel.
Oh.
He likes his old car, and guess what? It is not an electric car.
No, didn't
Funny
think
that.
So. Well, joining us now is the Chief Executive of the Driving Instructors Association, Carly Brookfield. Oh. Andrew's enjoying this game. Carly, what did you make of Andrew's ability to pass, or otherwise, the hazard perception test?
I've got a feeling Andrew's going to argue the gallery did him dirty then by the size of the screen, and whether they were
clicking
for him, that'll be his excuse. Yes, but 0 out of 5 is not exactly a score that we'd like to see out of a theory test, unfortunately. So you would have failed on that occasion. But there's a couple of things you didn't spot there, as well as the turning into a single road, obviously onto the road bridge. There was also a couple of entrances to what could be fields onto the left-hand side there as you go down the road, and you could have horses or tractors or other kind of farm machinery out of those as well.
Right. And are they, Carly, is it much more difficult now to pass the theory test and these awareness tests than it was when I did the instructor just asked me, the examiner just asked me some questions about the highway code at the end of the driving test?
Yes, and it's designed to be. The element more so of the hazard perception test is one of the most significant developments to driver testing in the 30 years alone that it's been in existence and, over time, because it's about training or starting to train people, because they take their theory test quite early in the learning to drive process, the younger drivers, to look out for this and understand what you should be doing about them. And that's the most important thing we can teach people about learning to drive. It's not manoeuvring the vehicle around per se. It's about risk perception, awareness, and how you're going to react to that risk to manage it.
Now, Carly, on the theory side of it, the highway code, I think you've got a few questions to test our knowledge. I'm getting nervous now.
Well, exactly. So this might be a moment to which, you have to eat some humble pie as well as Andrew here, or you might actually prove that you're an even bigger expert because you're maybe driving more regularly than Andrew is. So I'm going to pose the first question. This is great. The other shoes on the other foot for once that I'm asking questions to the presenters. So what is the national speed limit on a single carriageway road for cars and motorcycles?
60.
I'd say 60.
Ding, ding. You're a winner. What is the recommended gap between you and the vehicle in front of you?
At what speed?
In normal conditions, I'm going to be kind and give you that there.
At what speed, though?
In a traditional 30-mile-an-hour zone.
Put in?
140 feet.
30 miles an hour.
140 feet.
At 30 miles an hour?
Actually, I'll give you a clue. It's actually a time gap, not a distance gap. So what?
2 seconds.
Yes. I could be cruel and ask you a bonus question about foggy conditions or in the wet and things like that, but I won't be that cruel. I'll move on.
It would probably take 2 seconds to do 140 feet.
Yes, plus thinking time.
Yeah.
Yes, but in the test, it will be traditionally reflected as a period of time versus distance. So there should be a sign flashing up on the screen now. What does this sign mean?
UFO.
Now we can really tell you haven't driven for 5 years. Don't give that man. Have you still got a licence?
Yes, I have. But I hope they're not watching.
This is an argument from retesting.
Common hazard on British roads.
Any other guesses?
No.
Just a red circle with nothing. Well, it normally means that something's prohibited, so no cars down this track or no lorries.
No overtaking.
What's in the middle of the circle? I've never seen an empty one.
I'm going to say, I don't think that's supposed to be empty. There's definitely got to be something in there. So I don't know whether it's the visual in the studio, but I think you've been done dirty again.
OK, so our producers have failed us, basically. What's supposed to be in the middle of the circle, Carly?
One with black, one with white, so it's basically a no overtaking sign.
Oh, right, OK, yeah. OK,
Yeah,
you've got
so
one more, I think.
Yeah, and then what is this sign?
What? It's two ways, as in traffic moving in both directions. Usually you see one like that after it's just been one direction.
There you go. So basically, individual carriageway.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
I knew that.
So
I knew that one.
obviously. I think we have a true winner rather than a claiming to be winner.
Well, it's lucky because I do drive regularly. So also, my eldest child has just passed his driving test about 2 months ago. So I have had the advantage of seeing some of these materials recently. I cheated, in other words.
And to be fair to you guys, there were some technical glitches that were hampering.
That were not my fault.
I'll give you that. But it's a timely reminder to refresh your knowledge of the parental influencer. And if you haven't driven for a while, there is an argument that should we be doing more theory testing for drivers that already have a license at more regular intervals? Because it's a digital test. It's very low cost, very accessible. So should we be using these things in the future, not just for new drivers?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Do you think overall, so very, very briefly, the theory test has been a good innovation?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been one of the best interventions that we've seen in the last 30 years of driving, because it's very much focused on the most important thing about driving, spotting risk and being able to mitigate it and manage it.
Carly Brookfield, pleasure to speak to you as always. Thank you for putting us through our paces. That's Carly Brookfield, Chief Executive.
I knew I'd be hopeless.
Well, you go on the train and a push bike, so you don't need to
public
know.
transport, walk. Plenty more to come, including Burnham under pressure to have more women in his government. Remember, this is a party that's never had a woman leader in its 126-year history. But first, we're going to give you the forecast of some holiday stuff.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Mixed weather across southern Europe at the moment. Quite a few showers for Italy, some thunderstorms, breezy through central parts of the Mediterranean, as well as the Canary Islands and Madeira. But an emerging hot spell is expected through Portugal and for south and west Spain. Temperatures of 40 Celsius for Lisbon. Unusually hot for this location. Here are the showers for Italy, but they ease during Friday and into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
But what message would you just like to say? Because this one's voted for by the public. Yes. And it's all down to the viewers. What message have you got for those guys?
Well, we've got the best viewers in the world, haven't we? The most loyal viewers, the best viewers. And, of course, they've supported Breakfast for so many years with Ellie and all the other members of Breakfast. And, you know, we can't do it without them.
Yeah, I think we are unique, GB News, in the way that our viewers are really central to everything that we do. So, you know, with our GB Views at gbnews.com, we're always reading off the comments. We have viewers on all the time to talk to us about our stories. I think we are the only place that actually has our viewers front and centre. So it's so nice to have something back in a Trick Award when they recognise, you know, the hard work that we try and do every single year. So please God, 4 years on the trot would be great, wouldn't it?
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Just now wearing a Pegasus necklace badge commemorating the airborne forces. This week, 76 years ago, started the Korean War, often known as the Forgotten War. This is an opportunity for remembrance as well, isn't it?
That's right. In remembering with all of the conflicts, you know, it's affected every single person here who is in uniform. But it doesn't just stop there. Once they do get to the end of their service, they're often felt like they're forgotten about. So a big part of it is about remembering those that have fallen, but also those that are still alive and that are still with their own struggles. I wouldn't be able to do the job that I do now. I lead international expeditions and have done for the last 30 years. And the majority of those skills and that skill set and why I get asked back come directly from my time in the service, my time in the Royal Marines.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast has won the Trick Awards for the 4th year on the trot. I'm here with Alex Armstrong and Diamond and Ellie Costello. Guys, congratulations. Ellie, how does it feel?
Oh, just incredible. I was really hoping we could do it 4 years on the bounce, but you can't take these things for granted, can you? And I did think maybe they'll want to give it to someone else this year, and I really, really wanted us to win. Because Anne is here from her cruise.
Brilliant, yeah.
And Anne, your acceptance speech was amazing. You reflected on your years in the industry. How much does this mean?
I was able to hold one of these was 40 years ago, 1986, for the same sort of breakfast television programme that they said would never catch on.
There you go.
Full circle moment.
And what message have you got for GB News viewers? Because obviously this is voted for by the public.
Oh, it's thanks. I mean, it's real thanks, because that's why this award is so important.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom. Not long now till Prime Minister's questions. One of the current Prime Ministers last.
Certainly is. Well, we've worked out, we think he's almost certainly in a NATO summit next week. I've forgotten where it is. But then the week after will be his final Prime Minister's questions.
15th of July.
Yeah. Burnham will takes over on the following Monday.
Incredible.
Unless there is a political miracle and somebody has the 81 names. Let's talk to Olivia Utley, who is our political correspondent.
First girls programme for 12 and 13-year-olds.
Olivia, what can we expect, do you think, from this outing?
Well, if I were Kemi Badenoch, I would certainly talk about that defence spending black hole. Essentially, Keir Starmer is handing his successor a grenade. He has reserved £15 billion for defence spending. £10 billion of that, it's not quite clear where it's going to come from. The other £5 billion, it's not at all clear where it's going to come from. Kemi Badenoch has been asking about the defence investment plan for weeks in Prime Minister's questions now. We have it, but to be honest, it leaves more questions than it answers. So I think she will go very, very hard on that. Keir Starmer will have a very tough time answering those questions because essentially he has left it all for
Indeed.
his successor.
Olivia, so
in
we're
the
just going to have
autumn
to leave it there for a moment. We're just going to go to a break before we carry on our build up to Prime Minister taking on Kemi Badenoch.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office. It's a fine start for many of us today. A lot of cloud around, the best of any brightness in the south, with the cloud turning thicker in the north later, leading to some persistent rain. Initially, we do have some showers through Wales, northern England, much of Scotland. These are mostly light and confined to the hills, but the cloud builds across Northern Ireland later, allowing for some rain to roll in. Ahead of that, some clear spells, some sunshine emerging through Wales, the south of England, and temperatures responding reasonably. We're into the low to mid-20s. Further north, high teens, low 20s. But it's going to turn breezy as the more persistent rain arrives into western Scotland and Northern Ireland through the evening. That rain eventually reaching parts of the north and east of Scotland, but it's light and patchy here. Shetland, dry until after dark. But here's the rain for the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland turning heavy and persistent as it moves in. Light and patchy rain for Northern England, mostly over hills, but clear spells for the southern half of the UK. So this remarkable contrast developing overnight with a lot of wet and breezy weather in the north of the country, clear skies further south. A mild night for sleeping for many of us, with the cloud and the breeze keeping temperatures high. And then by the end of the night, the cloud thickens across many parts of England and Wales to bring some dribs and drabs of rain in, mostly over western hills and coasts, first thing Thursday. Temperatures of 16 or 17 Celsius from dawn, and a lot of mist and murk in the south of the country before the cloud and the patchy showery rain clears through the morning. So brightening skies for England and Wales after a bit of a grey start. But further north, we've got a fresh breeze coming in from the west, bringing some showers into the north of Scotland, but actually plenty of fine weather and temperatures responding well once again. 26 Celsius in the south, 20 further north.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the Great British Giveaway Golden Summer Celebration. Your chance to win 2 fantastic prizes. There's an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash. Plus, you'll also get your hands on a fine gold bar worth over £5,000. For a chance to win £60,000 in tax-free cash and a real gold bar, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB Newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, we've got all the build-up coming up now to Prime Minister's question time, just a couple of minutes to go. And Andrew, I wonder what's going through Keir Starmer's head. He won that election 2 years ago, a huge majority, and yet just under 2 years later, he's last.
I guess part of him would be thinking it's a relief it's over.
Maybe.
He's not very good at it. He used to get the better of Kemi Badenoch all the time in the first year. But she's been getting the better of him most of the time, and so perhaps he'll be feeling a little bit demob happy. We can see him on the front bench now. He's smiling and laughing and talking to colleagues, but I think a lot of that is bravado, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Must be incredibly difficult emotionally. I mean, from his point of view, he changed the Labour Party, made it electable, won a huge majority, and yet 2 years later he's been ousted by the MPs who he's given a job to. You know, let's be honest.
And he mocked the Tories when they did just that. When they got rid of Boris, when they got rid of Truss. He mocked the Tories for that, and yet they've done the same to him.
Yeah, and he is a very unpopular Prime Minister, but that's also...
records suggest it's the most unpopular since records began.
But Prime Ministers have been getting progressively more and more unpopular since social media became so ubiquitous, because I think it's a lot easier to be across people's faults, isn't it? But whether or not, I'm sure Andy Burnham will start from a higher place.
He'll have a bounce.
But whether or not he remains there.
They all get a bounce, don't they?
Yeah.
But the bounce doesn't last long, and I don't know how long it will last. And I still think Burnham is unhappy at the timetable. I think he wanted to come in just on the eve of the Tory Labour conference in September, end of September. That would give him all of the summer, bit of holiday with his family.
Chance to plan.
And chance to plan.
That's right. Will he have to give a maiden speech before
Yes, I think he does.
So he's going to have to give a maiden speech from the back benches before he's allowed to take part in any debate and certainly to speak from the front bench. So it must be planned for the next few days, I would imagine.
And the maiden speech is, here we are. Here
we go.
All over. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our thoughts, I'm sure the thoughts of the whole House, are with the people of Venezuela. The scenes of destruction are simply harrowing. Mr. Speaker, we've committed humanitarian funding, deployed expert search and rescue teams, and I can announce today that we'll match public donations up to £2 million on aid. Mr. Speaker, in an increasingly dangerous and volatile world, our defence investment plan commits more to investment on our armed forces. It delivers the modern kit and capabilities our personnel need to keep us safe, meaning we buy British to create jobs here at home and strengthen our international leadership. Mr. Speaker, Sunday marks the 78th birthday of the NHS, and I'm pleased that under this government waiting lists are down, A&E waits are shorter, and we have the shortest cancer diagnosis times on record. I also welcome the agreement reached with the resident doctors to end the strikes, so our full focus can be delivering further improvements for patients. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Dr. Alpington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with both the condolences and also birthday good wishes to the NHS? Everyone in my constituency of Surrey Heath wants a new Frimley Park hospital, but the chosen site, the last remaining fragment of the ancient Frimley Common, is wholly inappropriate. It's inaccessible, behind multiple schools, and environmentally devastating. But worse, over recent weeks, I've received deeply troubling evidence that the preferred relocation site was known and being openly discussed